And are you guys ready? Are you guys ready for this?
Dun 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 dun. What? Who's that?
Unbelievable.
Okay. Well, I don't do encores, bro.
Oh, okay. I see how it is. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Please don't watch the podcast. Yeah. Yeah. Please don't watch this podcast.
Oh, okay, are we done?
Yeah. Okay. So, yo.
Hi.
Hi, I'm your super awesome host, Duracell Battery, and joining me, as always, is the Energizer Bunny. What's up? See? It works out.
The system is down.
The system is down.
Is down. The system.
All right, so we have a let's get some tunes going here.
All right, this first one is a banger alert, as Chris puts it.
This one sucks. I hate it.
Stop saying that.
All right, so
I can't even hear it. What's going on? Oh, I muted the website.
That would be a problem. You shouldn't do that. Let me know as we go along here if stuff becomes too loud, too quiet, and all that kind of stuff. But we have a wonderful podcast today. We have a few segments. We have a few new things. And hopefully we have some questions at the end of it as well. So
we got some.
Do we have some?
Yeah, a couple. Like okay. One and then two. Well, not questions, follow-ups.
Oh, okay, cool. Good deal. All right, so.
Okay, so change the set. Which?
Oh yeah.
Segment.
So part of our new setup here is that we're getting along here. So this is the life in the making.
In the making?
Yeah.
Is this an autobiography?
I mean, it's pretty much like we're talking about what happened throughout our lives.
You're right.
Also, I think I need to boost just a smidge. Okay, so, who went last week? I forget who went.
Yeah, I started last time. Because you're like, I don't have anything.
Okay, now I boosted too much.
Boom!
There we go, I think that's good. Okay, so then I'll start. Okay, so it's been... Did we do one?
1 week since you looked at me.
Has it been 2 weeks? I can't remember.
It's been 2 weeks. We've been pretty consistent about this recently.
Okay, so... well, one record... or a one winning streak there on consistency.
Actually, two. I think last time we. I don't know. No, don't ask me any questions. I'm not answering.
Fair. Okay, so yeah, it's been 2 weeks since the last thing. I guess not super a lot of stuff has changed, but obviously I just released a new video which we're listening to right now. It's great. It's wonderful. I still think it's terrible, but Speed's gonna be here like, stop doing that to yourself. So if you have not, new camera and everything, and to make this video, which is very exciting, very cool, very everything, and I don't know what to say about myself.
It came out really good. The audio, the footage, because I didn't you didn't show anything about the camera. Before then, so I was like, "Oh, this is crisp and clear."
Yeah. So.
That's all you
and now it's the crickets and stuff like this. What's going on?
What do you mean?
I don't know. You really think the music was a tad loud?
Well, that you have to hear it, Zarks. Of course, it's a tad loud. It's got to be a tad.
Isn't
now
like
drop it a little.
Okay. Well, I turned it down a little bit more, so hopefully it's a bit better.
Look at these.
Music isn't good unless it's loud.
Look at these waving shoulders, isn't
Man,
this?
Look at that. But yeah, so I spent most of this week getting that music video ready. I did the majority of it truly on Friday, but going back and listening, working on the song to make it a lot better. When the first edition of that song was very much so not up to my liking, and I was ready to go, get into that mood where I was like, I'm not gonna do this anymore. It sucks. I hate it. Really, actually thought it was bad. So I went back at it and cleaned it up, and I was like, okay, this is a lot better now than it was. For most of you guys out there, it's interesting because like I'm very hypercritical on my stuff, so I really take my stuff a lot more seriously than you guys probably do. But at the same time, like I have to take a step back as well and just be like, maybe this isn't that bad. So
that's always the what do you call it? The art problem.
Yeah.
When I send Carl, I mention this a lot of times. When I send something to Carl, I'm like, hold on, there could be change the saturation. Oh, hold on. I could change the saturation by 2%. Wouldn't that be impressive? Wouldn't that change everything? Raise the contrast by 1%, stuff like that.
Well, with the video recording stuff, I mean that's definitely the newest thing for me because like using the really nice camera and stuff. The camera I have has 2 enormous lenses that are interchangeable within the camera. So like understanding like focus, understanding how lighting works and stuff, and outside's a little bit easier. Multiple camera angles is also done on a single camera as well. So I don't have multiple cameras, but I have the camera angles. So when I did the recording of that, I did about 10 takes on the guitar and I think 5 takes on the flugelhorn. So it was the weirdest thing too about it was just kind of playing outside. I don't like the thing with a musician does not like practicing for people, and that's kind of what I had to do essentially outside was sit there and play the song again until it kind of came out perfect, or I had enough takes where it wasn't gonna be so bad. It was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, so the bugs were not at all bad. The bugs really like mosquitoes don't really start coming out until like I don't know,
the
7
evening,
o'clock, 8 o'clock, yeah, around there. So I didn't have to deal with that too badly. But yeah, then it was me versus Sony Vegas. Because let me tell you, I need to get rid of Vegas because Vegas, although it's been a very trusted and good friend, and I know how to use Vegas very, very, very much so, it crashes on me every 5 seconds.
It has a lot of kerfuffles that I'm not a fan of. I've been hearing about Filmora recently because it's being advertised a lot. I don't know if it's good, but it seems good. Maybe that's something to look forward towards in the future for editing.
Yeah, it's more of I'm just nervous to switch over to a new editor altogether because I wouldn't mind maybe upgrading to the latest version of Vegas because I'm sure even though there's going to be some differences and changes, I don't feel like it would be that significant, and I'd still be able to just kind of hop in and be able to use it. It's just a matter of like, okay, this is over here now, that's over there now, all that kind of stuff. So. But I'm not sure how I want to go about that because Vegas isn't even owned by Sony anymore. So I'm not sure if it'd be more prudent to at this point go into like maybe working with like Premiere or what you said.
I haven't heard of DaVinci Resolve. That sounds pretty cool sounding.
that is really cool sounding, but like I don't know. That one just sounds weird.
I'm kind of an advocate against Adobe at this point because of how much they be at it, charging folks. Not too fond of it.
So, but I don't know.
I think there's a lot of replacements for those.
Even though I'm very much so not an Apple person at all. Even iMovie, I suppose, is supposed to be pretty. I mean, maybe not iMovie, but the better one, whatever it's called.
iPad.
not iPad.
Jerry, get iPad.
It's not iMovie. It's I forget what it's called.
Windows Movie Maker.
Not Windows Movie Maker, no. But I've heard a lot of people say that, like that's a really good option to use too, is the one for Macintosh. Final Cut, that's it.
Yeah, Macintosh has a lot of good. I think a lot of the consensus is Macintosh has a lot of good editing software in general, as opposed to just PC for some reason.
Well, I mean, like back when Macintosh really hit the market hard, like when they started coming out with the G4s and stuff, past like the original Mac computers when they first launched, like they really started to become very decent at that kind of stuff. And when they launched a lot of that stuff, like it was solid. And you look at that versus even iMovie back in the day was like sincerely better than Movie Maker was. I mean, Movie Maker could get it done, but there was so much bugginess in it. I remember when me and back in the old Gameathons when you made that the commercial contest. All those
That was
years
on
ago.
Windows Movie Maker, yeah.
That was on, like, me and Troy both looked at each other and were like, he made that on Windows Movie Maker? Like, what the heck, man?
Man, it's all about exporting and then re-exporting and then re-exporting layers. It's like VHS type.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. That's like, anybody that laughs at that is seriously the truth of it. It's like almost like reel to reel. Like that, it's that bad.
Man.
So, but yeah. So it's I don't mind using Vegas, the version of Vegas I have right now, and everything works for me. It's just that it crashes, and that's the thing that really gets me. Like I'll be sitting there and I'll do like one edit, and then it'll just crash, and I'll have to like
Control Z is the devil.
It's not even Control Z is the devil. It's
For me,
like,
it is.
I just have to sit there and constantly save and save and save and save, which I guess is good, you know, like experience in a sense. But like I don't want to just have to be saving there every 5 seconds, you know.
Yeah, man.
So, and then
For me,
the
it's
frustrating
always
part is that the frustrating part is that I have to reload, you know, Vegas every time, watch the stupid splash load up and everything. It doesn't just load up instantaneously. Then it's got to load all the files, which could take, you know, depending on how much stuff you have in there and how many cuts and how many effects you have, could either take, you know, up to, you know, 5 to 10 minutes if you really want it to. If you're making like a whole 2-hour movie. But I digress on that. So, but yeah, it's definitely been a very interesting experience doing this. I do look forward to doing more. I think you guys also look forward for me to do more. The next step is now I have to start working with the lighting gear that I have, and I have to make some new decisions on how and where I want to do a lot of this stuff.
I think the 2-instrument thing was a good idea, so then you're not actually having to mess with a lot of stuff. But you can't just do all of them outside, I think, if you want them.
And I don't intend on doing that either. So that was just kind of it was kind of a nice day out, and it was a chill enough song where I could just kind of film it in a decent amount of time and not have to worry about it too much, you know. And I wanted to test kind of just how this was, like I said in the description of that video too, is that this was a concept for me more so than an actual like, here's what I can really do, because it was a nice slow song. It wasn't like stuff that was super significantly difficult or any of that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's also a really amusing thing which I won't say, but if you guys find it for me and privately DM me, I will giggle if you can find the secret of that video.
Oh, there's a secret.
Yeah, there's a secret that I found out, and I watched it, and I'm like, oh my god, that's a thing in that video.
I'll have to look because you told me not to look too hard into it.
Yeah, so it's not. I'll give you a hint. It's not an editing thing.
Okay.
So.
Is there a car that passes by or something?
Nope. I won't say anymore.
Okay. Sit the water. Well, people are gonna start hypothesizing right now.
I remember my school gave us the option to use Windows or Mac OS, but they only had the single button. I hated those. And then there's the Mighty Mouse, which like is kind of the same thing, where it's got one big gigantic button that's actually 2 buttons and makes no sense. Yeah. I should make that a thing. I should
Cameos?
Yeah, Larry just somewhere. Just stick them in the video somewhere, see if people can find them.
Yeah, that's always a fun thing to do. So then people have to like really look.
Dang, I really wish that was.
You're turning it into the please don't listen to this music video. Oh yeah, I remember computer labs with a lot of Macs and then going home and be like, man, it's a lot easier. Do things. Where's Larry?
Larry's not here today. Today we have Gary. Gary's the
Larry was brought out back and shot, unfortunately.
That's not the case. That is false.
Yet.
So, excuse me. So, other than that, I've been really redoing my schedule as just to how to live and stuff. I don't know if we talked about this last podcast, but maybe we did kind of sort of. But so with this new schedule, I've been able to relax after streams now and not have to worry about too much of anything. And I promised Speed I wouldn't talk about this for more than like maybe a minute or two. But guys, I started Final Fantasy VII Remake and it's really good. I like it. That's all I'll say.
Oh well, I equated that because I've been playing Final Fantasy IX a lot, so I thought we could actually just talk a little bit about it.
Well, I mean, like, because the thing with Final Fantasy VII Remake is that I don't want to talk too much about it, because
Oh no, spoilers.
yeah, it's a little too new of a game for me. Usually, for myself, when it comes to spoilers, like, I give it about maybe a year to 2 years, and then after that, I feel like it's kind of fair play. Like, if you really were that in tune with not having spoilers or anything, like, what have you been doing, man? Get it together. But,
You know what's I brought that up. Like someone, we were having a Zoom meeting and with my class, and then one of them was like, "Oh," so my teacher was like, "What are you guys up to?" And then some of them said like, "Oh, Final Fantasy VII Remake." I'm like, "Hey, don't put any spoilers down." And then the teacher was like, well, "It's an old game, you know, what's the spoil?" And I'm like, "They changed a lot of things."
Yeah,
I don't want to know about the big changes. And
they really did change a lot of stuff, which
story-wise in particular.
And, like, I think a lot of people really were harping on the story changes and all that kind of stuff, but I have actually been pretty accepting of the story changes. Maybe it's just because, like, I'm more accepting than most, I guess, story
kerfuffles.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like, there's not really maybe there's been like a couple things that are just kind of like, okay, this is there's one thing in particular that I do know of that was like, this is weird, but I learned to accept it. So for the most part, I have enjoyed the game so far to its fullest, and
That's good to hear.
I look forward to beating. I'm about halfway to probably 2/3 of the way through, depending on where they decide to end the game. But I don't know off the top of my head. So
I'm not gonna say the game's divisive, but I've been hearing like a couple people being like, it's not that great, and then other people are like, oh, this is a pretty good darn remake. You know, it's different.
Oh, I mean, like, all things considered, I could trash that game if I really wanted to. Like, I could find so many different things that are like, this is dumb, this is dumb, this is dumb, this is dumb. You know, 2 out of 10 IGN. But I'm because IGN puts a 2 out of 10 on anything. But
I think that the cool thing is I heard about how the hard mode works, where you can't heal unless you go to a save spot or something, or not a save spot, an inn or something. I don't remember, but you can't use items.
Okay, so I'll spoil that much because it's a very low key thing. There's like benches along the game that you just like go and sit at, and that's how you heal. Like they're like pretty sporadically put, so it's just like you just go to that, and sometimes it's an inn, and sometimes it's just a bench. So it's like, or they stole it from Earthbound, is what they did. It's the good night bench.
I definitely think the hard mode is an interesting take on it, though, because it sounds like it's not unfair. Well, you know how difficulty can be, but it sounds like a lot of people are enjoying the hard mode in particular. Same with the Ghost of Tsushima, but I haven't played that. So
yeah, TFP has been playing that, if I recall.
Yeah, he played it yesterday, and I was like, oh, I gotta go.
Which if TFP is here, I will happily shout out. Everybody should go watch TFP's secret streams. But he's not, so don't.
Boo.
Yeah. But actually, this music's become a little on the loud side again, so I'm gonna turn that down just a bit. Okay, so other than that, I've been pretty rampant on making Pokemon Stadium, Pokemon White, and Metal Gear Solid 5 happen throughout the weeks.
It's such a weird mix now in retrospect. You got two of the same, but mostly the same game, and you got Metal Gear.
Yeah, I'm kind of. I feel people are getting kind of bored of Metal Gear Solid 5, or maybe it's just because I'm so focused on the game. I don't know. I still find it odd that people really are getting down with Pokemon Stadium, though. That of all things, because it's funny, because like I've held off on that game because somebody commented years and years ago, like they were just flat out upset that I was streaming this game, and like the viewership just wasn't. Pants? The viewership was just completely down years ago when I did it, so I stopped, and I was like, all right, well, nobody wants this, so, and then I just decided, I'm like, okay, I want to beat this, I want to finish this game and be done with it. So, you know, I came back to it, and lo and behold, plenty of people showing up. So
it's definitely, I think the time is one thing, some opinions can change, but moreover, it's the platform you're doing it on. I think a Let's Play is kind of harder to do Pokemon Stadium with, because it is kind of a lot of the same, whereas if you're streaming it, you have a lot more input to take in and give back and stuff.
But Evie, here's the thing with that, is that yes, it is Pokemon for sure. However, Pokemon White is getting lower viewership than Pokemon Stadium. So I would argue that there's something interesting about Pokemon Stadium as opposed to Pokemon White. What that is, I have no idea. Maybe Pokemon Stadium is just more exciting than White. Maybe
a specific nostalgia factor, I think. because.
But I would argue that Pokemon White is already old enough to have some sort of a nostalgia factor to it. Like there's now.
I think we're talking about games that are completely different in that regard, because Stadium in itself has such a weird, different mechanic from the rest of the Pokemon games that a lot of people lately, I think, have been taking interest in. Considering them. I think that might be why. White, I disagree that it has ew graphics. I think a lot of people are missing it at this point, actually. But I would definitely say White is because it's a little more, what do you call it? Story driven. Could also be a little different.
That is true.
You're in the what do you call it? The nascent stages of it. I guess it would be an okay term. Like the start. What I'm trying to say is like you're still kind of in the tutorial zone of all things as well. Whereas a Stadium is like, boom, kill the Mewtwo.
Killed the Mewtwo. Yeah, okay, I guess that's fair. All right, yeah, so I guess that's fair. I guess that's fair. Just see how many times I could just say.
What happened to you?
Well, I said I guess that's fair twice. Then I'm like, why did I say this the second time again? So I was like, well, now I'm just gonna keep the trend going and say I guess that's fair. So
okay, I guess that's fair.
Yeah, see, it's that you get it now. So so what I'd like to do at some point coming up at this point is I'd like to finish this survey that I have kind of going on that I just so I can get an idea of what you guys really like me to stream. I'm trying to make it kind of on the more vague side as best as I can, so I can kind of get an idea of like what ideally you would truly like to stream. Or what you'd like me to stream and all that kind of stuff. But I know that doing something like this too is never just going to be perfect. So that's why I'm still kind of reading into what I can do to kind of make this as best as can be. So other than that, I think that's all that I've been really. I've been also doing some heavy practice sessions as of late too. So that's my other thing. Usually when I get up, I start my day, walk the dog, eat, and all that kind of stuff, and then I'm practicing for 5 to 7 hours now, so it's
I heard when was that? It was like one day where you're like, okay, I practiced like this entire morning. When was that? Oh, that was like on my sister's birthday, I think.
Yeah, it was Monday, Tuesday. I know for sure those were the heavier days that I did it. Wednesday, Thursday was good. Wednesday was kind of okay. Friday was busy with working the video, and Saturday I pretty much mostly took the day off, so I didn't really do too much practice. So. And then tonight, after, I'm going to do just a quick practice, and then Monday will be the start again. So it's a really good feeling. Like, to anybody that has never played, or that is, like, very new to an instrument, or they're thinking about playing an instrument, that's...
Don't.
Yeah, don't. Just stop. No, it's... when you start to... The best thing I can always tell a person that's brand new to an instrument is to practice. And what that means is just to pick up their instrument every day and practice. You know, there are so many days, even as myself, as a professional musician, like, that I don't feel like I want to practice because it's just terrible and I'm not gaining anything out of it. But there is something to be gained about just kind of forcing yourself through it, even if you don't want to do, like, the techniques and stuff. You know, as long as you just pick up your instrument and just kind of, you know, let's take a guitar, for example. If you want to just strum some chords and stuff like that. Like, just strum some chords. Like, that's practice enough as it is. So just...
Yeah, it's the minor. I would say the minor things add up.
Yeah.
Like,
and
just mastering the basics will help.
And it's really a big thing with if today just kind of sucks, tomorrow will be better. I guarantee it. So...
Thank you.
But I think that's everything. So what about yourself?
What? Sorry, I've been reading Evening's comments, and I also do agree. Oddly enough, Unova is kind of the one that a lot of people don't like. I've gathered this from my own circle of friends and what I've heard. Even though I think it's a pretty solid game overall, I think this is where a lot of people dropped off, and I'm wondering that also might contribute to it. Because the other ones are considered more classics, but even then, like, I don't know about X and Y either. I don't know if those would even do the trick. So I don't know. It's a very
I would just say that just for the sake of that, only because I don't want to stay too much onto that topic
yeah.
right now.
Sorry.
It's I just think that there's such an audience even for something as simple as like Pokemon Red and Blue on basic black and white graphics. So I think if people are really down to watch something like that, I would say graphics in this sense for a stream are not going to be the biggest factor for that.
Yeah,
As
I'm
well,
not trying to
as
go that
well,
direction.
like when you think about like my streams for Pokemon Stadium, like I have the super awesome special edition that I got from as Nove puts it, GameStop Online, which can view in a much higher resolution than what I'm streaming at right now. So I'm streaming it on an S video line, which is debuting I think 480i at best, which is by today's comparison very not good. But I mean, people are still coming and enjoying it, so I would argue that graphics are
Don't play a role.
yeah, and especially because White's graphics are far more along than Stadium's graphics are. Even though Stadium was built more to be kind of visually appealing, as opposed to White being more story based and stuff like that. The moral of the story of that being just that I just don't think people are super into the graphics got to be like this and that and this and that. So
I think it's just a matter of it's really hard to say what would really be the one in the series, because like even the ones that people don't like are the ones that a lot of other people like. That's why Pokemon in itself is such a diverse series. Like Sword and Shield is such a mixed bag for people too. And I don't know, it's hard to say. Just play more Pokemon Stadium.
yeah, I guess at the end of the day, yeah, probably. Okay, so stop avoiding the question, man. It's your turn. What's going on with your life?
I finished that class.
Nice.
It's so funny because I still think about it like, oh yeah, I started the class. Oh, I'm almost done. I'm done. Got an A. Now fall isn't too far off. My fall semester we switched, which is kind of a pain. Is August 22nd. So I got a couple of days of grace, like 20 days. The classes filled up pretty quickly too, though, which is kind of unfortunate. So they're offering substitute classes, which are basically like they're supposed to fill in for the major. So in my case, a lot of sociology classes filled up. So I tried to sign up for 2 anthropology classes that would, I assume, substitute into my major, but I'm hoping to get back into that one because I don't know. It's a little weird, especially because we're still doing online, obviously.
Yeah.
Thankfully, too. What else? My sister's birthday was the 28th of July. So she was off this whole week, got vacation for it. I baked, I posted about the cinnamon cake bun type cake thing. You saw it? You saw it?
Well, so what you're saying is that you made some pound cake!
Pound cake! But it was more like a half cake because I didn't want to make too much. I gave some to my parents. We visited our parents. Well, my mom, because my dad was working, and she also bought another cake. So I think whatever weight I lost over this course of time has been regained, which is unfortunate. Also, I probably need diabetes.
Oh, jeez.
Well, it actually runs in my family. So
yeah.
Yeah. But besides that, what else have I beat Passport 2. Speaking of diabetes.
Oh, I think I know where he's going with this. Wait for it. Let's see.
I know where he's going.
I just
hit us with it, Brian. Give us the hit it.
Wait for it. Well, while we're waiting.
There
it is. Okay.
Yeah, that was a shock. There's been a lot of people passing away recently, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah.
But recently, it's been a lot of people who have been up in the years. So
yeah, that's the interesting thing is like I keep thinking that like, or I keep reading into it just to see like is it because of the virus out there, and it's like no. So all right then, people. Unfortunately,
though it could be compounding as well.
Yeah.
More susceptible, and it could just further whatever you had already going on set. But well, besides that, I finished Passport 2 on my stream. Well, not I finished one route. There's like 5 endings or something. I only got 1, but I don't think I'm gonna go back to it anytime soon. Just to let it sit a little, and then I'll go back to it. But yeah, I enjoyed playing that. It was like Mario Paint but faster.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely I like the idea of then you have to sell your paintings too on top of what you draw. So it does add like a much more kind of driving factor to it. But
For my route, I went for the rich ladies, so the money aspect was not a problem. In other routes, it becomes more apparent. Like if you're gonna appeal to the punks, you have to draw differently. One of the routes which I don't think would be too interesting.
oh, we've lost him. Guys, we've lost him. Panic. Guys, panic. We've lost speed. He's gone. Oh, God, hi.
Tell me when I'm back. Anyway, what was I saying? The minimalist route. Not a fan of doing that because that's like you do broad abstract strokes and all that, and I'm like, that's not speed slasher. So the other one kind of requires you to. Other routes require you to cater to different customers, and that also means changing up how you draw. For those in particular, the ones that are like the punk and then the minimalist, you can't use the spray can, and I'm like, oh man, I like it. But yeah, and then I also did Rune Fat. That's gonna take more time. I hit the boss, and I'm like, oh, this boss sucks.
Still got a long way to go with that, man.
Yeah, because I got to grind at this point because it's universally, well, I don't want to say universally, but a lot of opinions that have played the game agree the bosses stink. So I don't feel bad about save scumming for bosses anymore.
Yeah.
So I died and I load my save.
I don't know. It's Rune Factory is definitely an interesting game to say the very least. It's kind of something I feel like I'd pick up, but like how long you've been playing it now is kind of just that like, oh man, I don't know if I want to delve into that. Like, how many hours have you actually put into that game at this point?
60.
That's a lot.
Hey, that's the game.
That's a lot.
I don't know if the other ones are shorter. I would say I feel like I spent less time in 3 to get to the end because it's. I'd say the bosses are easier in that. So I don't know. If you were to play it, I would definitely suggest one of the DS ones instead because you have that ability.
Well, yours isn't an actual like main title, is it?
It's a spin-off, actually. Yeah. So the way you play it is different too. In the other ones, you do also have the monsters pick up your crops and stuff, but it's a little more like Harvest Moon, unlike that one where you just use a wand and it just decides what crops you get. Yeah. The other ones you have to kind of plan it a little.
Well, isn't the latest one like out on Switch right now?
So yeah, the 4 Special came out. I didn't pick it up. I'm more actually towards picking up the new Harvest Story of Seasons game. But the 5 should be out sometime next year, I'm guessing. I'm curious about that because we don't really know anything about it.
Yeah.
But I think if you want to get into that genre, I would definitely suggest. Sorry, there's a lot of planes going by. The Rune Factory series would be probably a better one because I think you would better appreciate the combat aspect of it. But it's a lot more anime, I will admit.
Yeah.
I think was it Evening who's like, oh man, I don't understand. So I'm getting out of here. During the early stages of my streaming, someone was like, I'm so confused what's going on. I'm out of here. I'm like, no, go back. Let's get there. What else have I been doing? Rune Factory.
You said
Tides of Destiny. What else? I've been playing more gacha. I'm sorry, Carl. I've been playing the Tales of one.
Awful.
Can
we get a group awful in here just for speed?
The shame about that is because I think it actually has a pretty good story. It's about justice and how blind it could be and how people just view someone who did something wrong as like a criminal or whatever. And I'm like, whoa, this is a pretty good story for a game that wants to suck my wallet dry.
I did buy Stardew Valley. This is what I did buy Stardew Valley.
Yeah, I bought it too. We'll get to that eventually, I think.
Yeah, at some point it'll happen.
Thank you.
Science isn't about
else?
why. It's about
Final
why
Fantasy
not.
We got to the second disc and we're on the second continent and we met these little green dwarf guys. You know, do you know what I'm talking about? They go rally ho!
Oh yeah. What's that place called?
Okay, now you made me forget. I didn't write it down. I just remember rally ho, and then they kind of talk like how I type, where they're like, "I cannot do it. I didn't know."
I keep wanting to say it's Estogaza, but it's not correct at all. That's later on.
Brightheart.
Brightheart, where are you at? We need help.
Oh, speaking of though, he was totally right. That game is a pain to 100%.
Oh no, it's like almost impossible technically speaking.
My sister put it like this: every boss, can you steal the item before you die, or they die?
Yeah.
Oh god.
There's jump rope. There's the Excalibur 2. All of it's awful.
There's the card game.
Yeah, we don't talk about that one.
I'm not too fond of it. In the remaster though, you get some tools which help. For example, you can pause the game and you could double the speed at which the game runs. So then you could run around and do more grinding that way. And you also turn off enemy encounters too. They give you a lot of cheats, but I think for this game, I don't mind it. I don't use the ones that like let you do a 9,999 damage though. That one's a little cheap though.
That's just flat out
the other ones
cheating.
there, But yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's a lot of characters don't get a lot of time to grieve, but because it's like boom, boom, boom. Come on, Freya, get over it. Kina, hello. I go bye. Hello again. Stuff like that. But yeah, it's so weird to consider that this came out after 8 because it's such a different approach. I think it's like returning to its roots, but also not.
It is definitely a switch from 8. 8 had the more kind of futuristic, it's almost like a modern futuristic look to it.
Is everyone here? They're short and chibi looking.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm pretty much jiving with it for now. I like a lot of the dialogue and the RPG aspect. If you ignore the fact that it's like a little, it doesn't explain itself a lot. You have to, because like we tried to use a character casts reflect, and then you can't heal them or else they'll reflect and then heal the boss or enemy, and I'm like, oh no, that sucks.
So here's a real question for you. Were you excited to get high potions?
A little.
Because
why?
Well, like the first time I played that game, I was like frustrated because it was like you get potions for the whole first continent and nothing else but potions. And unless you have Dagger in your party, like you're going to be constantly healing if you're underleveled. And that means like you'll be using like 5 to 6 potions just to revive yourself from like one boss attack.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So when I got high potions, it was like, oh my god, this is much better. And then like I think Dagger at that point probably comes back and it's like more or less.
We got Kina to get the thing that heals everyone in the party. That really helped. Was it White Wind or something? But yeah, oh man, Steiner's a killer. and Steiner MVP. He gets the what do you call it, the blood sword thing, and then you do minus slash and he heals everything he just dealt.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh baby, this is gameplay happening. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's been a while since I played a classic RPG. Besides.
And here he is talking about Final Fantasy more than I did.
Well, I did. What? I was gonna say though, the last one I did play that was classic was I'd say Dragon Quest 11 was pretty classic. Yeah, that was my week. Huh?
I really gotta sit down and play a Dragon Quest game.
Man, if I had a quarter every time I had to hear someone say, I need to really sit down and play this.
Yeah, well, see, the funny part is that my only Dragon Quest game that I own
is the first one.
Is the first one, Dragon Warrior for NES, which is.
I would say that could take you 30 hours.
30?
Especially if you don't know what you're doing.
Oh man. Okay.
Because that game you actually max out at level 30. But it starts fast and then gets slow.
But that's also Final Fantasy 1, isn't it? Where you max out at what, like 26? Oh, I think we lost them again. Speaking of Final Fantasy 9, there it is. There's the music. It's being played in the background. But we've definitely lost speed here. Please give him a moment. There he is again. Oh, now he's really doing the close up there. All right, so anything else you want to say about your week?
What was I talking about before I keep dying? Why do I keep dying, man?
We were talking about Dragon Quest, and then.
Oh, right.
And Final Fantasy, but
Final Fantasy does not cap out at 30. Maybe the first one did actually. Now I think about it, but not the other ones. You know.
Yeah.
Okay, that's enough Final Fantasy from us and RPGs.
Anything else you want to talk about?
No. Oh, my posters. Do you see them?
Oh, you've updated your.
Save the market, love.
Oh my god.
Wait, do you see the other one? It's Party City.
Oh my god, the Party City. Where's Nadia's band? Whatever. What was that band called? The third band.
The Juniper Jean Jorts.
Panda Pants.
Panda Pants.
Jorts.
Her album didn't release here, so I didn't. I wasn't able to top it.
Okay,
You know?
got it. Understandable. I actually think the story technically takes place up in Iceland.
That's far.
I think that's like the town that it's supposed to take place in, but I can't remember that off the top of my head. Okay, so I have one more thing that I want to show here. It's
Here's another plane. It's a what?
It's new T-shirt day.
Oh, hold on. I gotta refresh the stream every time I just die. Oh, did you get it from the thing I sent you, or did you?
I got it from one of the things that you sent me that was okayed by Speed.
Because every time Carl's like, "Hey, this is a cool shirt. Could you check it? Is it good?" And I'm like, this is from an art theft website." And then I spent like 30 minutes that day looking for the actual source. I didn't tell him that though.
So the shirt is based off of Lavender Town.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't wear the artist. It's, I think, Luciano or something.
I don't know off the top.
Unfortunately. Meanwhile, here's my shirt. The I'm just playing games. I know that's plastic love.
I have no idea what that's from.
That's a musician, Maria Takeuchi.
Oh, okay.
One of my favorite J-pop artists.
All right, so before we get into our first segment here of two, I have a very exciting between segment that you guys should all be excited for. I do have to pause the music though for just a moment.
Choo.
And are you guys ready? Are you guys ready for this?
Dun 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 dun. What? Who's that?
Okay, that's enough of that.
Are you guys ready for kind of Speed's segment? Oh, Dark Souls 3! Yay! That was all out of left field. I thought you were gonna announce like a game-a-thon. It was like, whoa, big announcement. No, not Timmy Turner. I'm not going to announce that.
All right, so. So let's go ahead and move on to our next segment here.
Which one?
Our first segment.
I don't remember.
I think we'll start with this one because I think it's a really good segment to do first, and then we'll do the other one later. So today we've decided to come up with a list of games that we feel would be good for a starter kit, as it were, for consoles, if you were to ever start getting into the collector's market and such. What would you start off with and all that kind of stuff?
Collecting video games is fun, even if you don't play them. That's what we've been doing.
It's true. So I'd like to just kind of preface before we get into this that this obviously is a subjective list to anybody. You can have your own personal list if you would like to. I expect it and hope that it's different from ours.
Now, unfortunately, a lot of these, so I was looking up at them and I was like, holy crap, these things are $200 to $400 now.
Yeah, so.
And then I was telling Carl, maybe this is why privacy is really a thing still.
So, but yeah, if you guys have your own lists, we'd love to see them kind of in either the chat right here. We'd like to see them in YouTube comments or anything else as well, because not only is it interesting just to read them, but as a game collector myself, I'd like to see all the unique and interesting things that you guys considered, like for what you. Oh yeah, that's right. We gotta change that. But but we definitely would like to just see it so we can, because I'm always looking for new stuff to add to my collection whenever I can find it. What should I name this segment? He's frozen again, but I guess collector. What should I name this segment? Collector's starter kit?
Yeah, maybe.
Is that
yeah, whatever. You know, this might be a recurring segment too, because there's a lot of consoles.
Did I spell collectors right?
Oh,
he's dead.
Did you do it?
I couldn't hear.
Oh, put an apostrophe over at the S and the R.
Alright. You are freezing up, my dude.
I don't. Hey, leave me alone. I don't know why. Help. Tuscate. This is man. I can't have the stream open. I think that's really. I'm at 160 watching it too. I know it's not working out.
Well, I think you can just pause it for the time being until. Well, I guess you can't really see me then, can you? But,
yeah, I know. That's why I have it open.
So I mean, I guess I could probably.
Oh, car election. There you go.
Car election. That's funny. Okay, so, I think let's. I wanted to define some parameters before we also get into this too. So,
go ahead.
Speed, we're talking about. I think that the most important parameter I'd like to define, that there aren't really any in this case. But me and Speed were talking about stuff like, because I'm a really big proponent and like I really want my console exclusives as part of a collection. I think that's really that's the bread and butter of any collection, I think. But when coming down to like being a collector for a specific system like this, I think that if you, personally for me, I think it's okay to buy a game for that console, even though if there is like a remaster or remake and all that kind of stuff available for that. Because I think that if you would truly want to go and buy that console to collect for it, you wanted to experience everything that it was during that point in time in life. So
I get that.
So that's what I would probably say as far as that kind of stuff goes. So I would
for
say
me, I wrote down some cross-platform ones.
Yeah, I got some too.
But what my approach is I'm just gonna suggest which one's probably the better one if you want to play it rather than collect it. But I think there is that. I think it's already established. If you want to collect something, you have to just get it.
Yeah, I agree with that too. So, with that all being said, I think this is going to be kind of all over the place. And like I said, we'd like to hear your opinions too on what you guys would like to do for. We're only doing 2 consoles today, and that's going to be for GameCube and PlayStation 2. We talked about doing more, but based on the fact that we're already 50 minutes into this podcast just from talking about our lives, we would be here for probably 8 hours talking about other stuff too. So we decided just to narrow it down to 2 consoles for this time being. So with that being said, let's get going on this. I'm curious to see what everybody's list is going to be. We based it kind of off of 10. I have 10 for PlayStation 2, and I technically have 12 for GameCube, which I'm kind of deciding right now whether or not I want to cut 2 of them or just be like, whatever, I have 2 extras on my list and deal with it, kind of thing.
I'll just note some of my cross-platform ones too off the side, but that would mean I have like 30.
Yeah.
I won't get too into some of these though.
You know.
So yeah.
And there's looking through a lot of these, I will say it's definitely also a very difficult thing talking about what's worth it, especially when it comes down to stuff like price. Because as we get into, specifically more so with the GameCube, I found that everything was super expensive, and PlayStation 2 was less so expensive for the most part. So,
yeah.
So, all right, let's talk.
GameCube?
I guess we could start with GameCube. Just get that out of the way because everybody likes talking about it. So let's talk about the GameCube. It is a system that came out back in 2002 in North America, 2001 in Japan, if I recall.
Let me grab mine. So then.
A second, I could look that up really quick while he's doing that.
Zoom.
I could grab mine, but I don't feel like it. And then
Look, it says my sister's name on the side.
Oh, it does. Oh, that's right. Look at that.
What's in here? Oh, Columns Ground.
September 14th, 2001 for Japan, and November 18th. Oh no, never mind. That's November. That's 2001 as well. So 2001. So I was still right though, but you know. So yeah, it's a very strange little cube system that was outclassed for the most part by the other two consoles on the market, as it had a smaller disk capacity. It had less, I think, processing power and all that kind of stuff, but all things considered, like, it really shined through everything, even though the PlayStation 2 did far superior in sales and all that kind of stuff. So
I think that the GameCube is the console that people are more likely to be like, yeah, this is the classic console of that era in particular.
And the other thing too is that even though it didn't, you know, I had a PlayStation 2 and an Xbox before I really had a GameCube growing up, but even so, like, I still wanted the GameCube, I think, more than probably both those systems, all things considered. The only exception would be maybe the PlayStation 2 would be a little bit more wanted, just because I have more affinity and affection for that system, just because it had such a good library of games and stuff. But
right.
Anyways, that being said,
where you going? Where you going?
Where am I going?
Oh yeah, it sounded like you're talking away from the
mic.
Sorry,
I forget that I have to be really direct with this one. So yeah, so we learned today that GameCube games are very expensive. So the first thing I would probably say is that if you want to be a collector of GameCube, you must be very patient on buying a lot of these, because though I tried to keep my dollar amounts to a decent amount of price, the cheapest game on my list here is maybe $25 at most.
Yeah,
definitely. Everything else is far more up there, unfortunately, for this system. It's just a hot time right now. August 2nd, 2020 just seems to be the really high time people want GameCube stuff. So so when I think of GameCube 2, I also think that it's definitely my party system. You know, if I am having a party, I definitely will consider GameCube, because there's so many different fun party games out there.
4 slots.
Yeah, that's
PS2 does not.
Definitely one thing.
Let's get the multi-tap.
But that doesn't mean that it's like, you know, the one console for all. Like there are other things on PlayStation or Xbox that I would rather play on there than GameCube. So, but definitely for sure, I think of GameCube as the party system, as he's frozen. Now he's not frozen anymore. So,
Carl's the collector.
So with that being said, I'll go ahead and do my list entirely first, and then we'll switch.
Yeah, and then my duplicates I won't really mention, or I'll
because
play off of you.
I'd also like to hear your opinions on what what GameCube kind of is to you when we get to your side of it. So.
Okay.
So that being said, I think. I know for sure, even though I'm not really much of a fan of the game that much anymore, I still love to play it every now and then. But for myself, I don't. You cannot. Somebody said it best. You cannot have a GameCube without Super Smash Bros. Melee.
Yeah, that's my first one.
it's like literally impossible to just be a GameCube collector and just not have that game. Like, that's like one of the main reasons you buy a GameCube.
Like, how can you have Happy Feet or a Wombo combo without Melee? but you will be stinky.
So yeah, unfortunately, Melee these days is now $55 starting on eBay, which makes me sad, because it's almost full price again to have bought it back in 2001 as opposed to now. But yeah, it's definitely just the staple. I think for any GameCube collector, any GameCube owner to have is Super Smash Bros. Melee.
It's one of the games that I see a lot at so I've been to a couple of conventions, and that's definitely one of the ones that are just like, boom, hey, we're selling it. Like a lot of these ones that we're probably going to start off with are probably actually the easier ones to find if you're going to like a convention or maybe at a garage sale or something. You'll definitely find these cheaper. Not at this current time or juncture, but down the line.
Yeah, so definitely for sure. I gotta turn this down just a smidgen. So, definitely my starting pick, I think, for sure. The next one I would recommend, I think, is also a good party game, as well as it's a good game to kind of play by yourself too from time to time, is Kirby I Ride.
I didn't put that down. Well, I guess you can cover it. So there's a lot of ones that are gonna overlap. So
So Kirby I Ride is the kind of game that I always played with Troy, and it's one of those games where it's like no matter how many times we played it, no matter how many times we just popped it in, like it was the kind of game that we could just never get tired of. It was just always there to be a bro to us, essentially. So.
Did you know that they have tournaments about that nowadays?
Kirby I Ride tournaments?
Yeah, they do City Trial. I didn't know about that until recently.
Jeez, that's. I'd be curious to read into how one of those works.
I want to watch it. I only read about it on Twitter. I'm like, man, that sounds fun to watch. He broke the star. Now he's gonna get all the.
So, Kirby I Ride, I'm surprised hasn't actually gone up in price because this game's been expensive for a while. It still sits at $50 right now, but I feel like at some point it's really just gonna probably skyrocket in price again when people.
Yeah.
It's pretty understandable though that people don't maybe love that game too much. It's definitely different. It's got a unique taste to it, and I really think that you kind of have to be a Kirby fan to probably fully be into it. And and even so, like, it isn't Kirby, I guess, in that regard. You know, Kirby is a platformer. This game is almost a driver kind of game.
Yeah.
So,
I think a lot of the people that would pick it up, I don't think the other two game modes would really appeal to them as much as City Trials does. Even though there is fun to be had, I think a lot of the game's focal point was City Trials.
But I would then write this off as kind of like a unique gem for the series, or for the.
It's a 3 for.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like this one probably makes my collection maybe a little bit more unique than somebody else's GameCube collection, then for sure. So, I like it. I recommend it. And people should get it if they don't have it and they're collecting for GameCube. I think it should be in there. This next one I think is also a big hit for everybody. What?
Okay, hold on, real quick, Carl. I regret saying let's add this song. I'm distracted.
Wow. Wow.
We should have, because Carl was like, "Oh man, it's fine if we had a Connery song. There's vocals on it though, Carl." And he was like, "Nah, it's fine." It's like, "Oh, let's add Snake Eater then." Oh man. Okay, keep going.
No. He was the one that was like, "Let's add Snake Eater."
Yeah, but you were the first one to be like,
I did add it. I wanted to be responsible for that, so I apologize for that. But moving on. So this next game I think is one that most people agree deserves to be in a GameCube collection, and it's of course Luigi's Mansion. It's unique in its own right, and I feel like there's not really much any other game kind of out there. Even like the Ghostbusters port for PlayStation 3 kind of is like the closest thing to Luigi's Mansion in that right. And like I don't even know what I would necessarily like genre that game. Like, what would you genre that game, honestly speaking?
It's not too much survival horror. I would not put it at that, because survival horror typically means you have to work with assets in your thing besides just health. Yeah. Like you have to manage like your ammo and your recovery items. So it doesn't really fall into that purview. I would still say it's like a no, I don't know. What does Wikipedia put it as? I'll just
it's not really a platformer. It's not really like, I have no idea what to categorize this game.
Okay, action adventure. That's what Wikipedia says.
Okay, that's
I guess
fair.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It is an adventure game. Well, action adventure, not an adventure.
Yeah, okay, that's fair, because the adventure is exploring the mansion, the action is, fighting ghosts and all that kind of stuff. So I'd accept that, but definitely one of those games that I feel that just belongs in a GameCube collection.
Oh yeah, so it was tough because I wanted to do 5 more popular games and 5 more niche titles. So for those ones that you're listening right now, I'm like, it's a little hard to fit these in. I think so. Well, not too niche my part, but yeah, like I would have put Luigi's Mansion because I know that's a pretty big classic. Otherwise.
Okay, so moving on, a classic party game that every GameCube owner knows about, Mario Kart Double Dash.
Disney Party. Oh.
Not Disney Party. That's incorrect.
Which Mario Party? Sorry.
Mario Kart Double Dash.
Oh, Mario.
Yeah.
Double Dash.
This is also, I think, my only racing game, technically speaking, on the list here.
Oh, I have two on that one. Or well, for GameCube or for both?
For GameCube.
Yeah, for GameCube I have two.
Oh, okay. I only have
including that one. So.
Sonic Shuffle's a Dreamcast game, dummy.
That's on my Dreamcast list, even though I hate the game. We're not doing Dreamcast. Carl has often voiced, what games are there to get for the Dreamcast?
See,
I
would be actually very interested to hear what he has to say about Dreamcast, because I personally, Dreamcast is like on the cusp of just being written off as obscure and into oblivion.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing is a lot of the good things that were on it are now mostly ported. My list is a lot of the weirder ones. I think we'll get to that later. Then,
I guess technically Kirby I Ride is it is a racing game, but I don't really think of it as a racing game.
I think it's more like not a party game, but it's like a multiple kind of thing. Because there are 2 racing game modes.
It's a versus game is what I would kind of factor.
It's hard to... I hate genres.
because like realistically speaking, every time I play Kirby I Ride, I'm always doing city trial. Like the racing is there, but it's like super not as exciting as going through the city trial and doing all the stuff.
To note though, after you do the city trial, you might race.
Yeah.
But that's not always the...
I do like top-down race though; those are fun. But other than that, like I play that for like 5 minutes and then I'm done. So, but yeah, getting back to racing.
How much is Mario Kart nowadays?
Mario Kart Double Dash, I looked around and looked like to be around $50.
That's not that bad.
I personally think you can get a lot of these games for a lot less if you tried.
Yeah, like I said, cons and garage sales if you can.
Yeah, for sure.
Not nowadays.
Oh, we lost him. He's gone. Again. He's having a time. There he is.
I don't get it. Is it because I'm hosting Drop Aisle?
It's possible. I don't know.
I'm sorry.
So,
Freeze.
okay, so yeah, Double Dash. It's Mario Kart. What else is there to really say about Mario Kart? You know.
This one in particular though is kind of different in that it has the dual driver system.
Yeah, which I think opened up the fun for co-op Mario Kart instead of
the
traditional co-op Mario Kart, which is
Did
race with your friend against the computers.
Did you ever do a thing with Troy where one of you held one side of the controller and the other one held the other?
No, we didn't.
Or did the swap thing where you press Z and then... you should try that.
That sounds crazy, but okay.
Yeah, why not?
Troy, if you're listening at home, we need to try this.
Do not Troy this at home.
All right, so moving on next, I have a tie.
The Tasmanian Tiger?
Mario Party 4 or 5, and I could not choose between those two. So I say if you're get one of them if you're starting your collection. That's my biggest thing.
I would kind of actually recommend 7 because the unique aspect, like it's not my favorite, but the unique thing is that you get the mic.
I guess so, but
and I think the mic is definitely a fun collector's item in itself. I didn't put Mario Party on my list though.
Yeah, see, I just think that they're 6 and 7 are good games, but they're not the best games, I think, in my opinion. I think when it comes to the mini games and just the style of 4 and 5, I think I like those better than 6 and 7. 4
I voiced my opinion on 4 during that birthday stream.
4 just holds a place in my heart because it's just the one. It's the game I got when I first got my GameCube. So if I had to choose myself, I would go with 4 over 5 in a heartbeat. But I do know that people really do have a lot of opinion and a lot of justified opinion on why 5 is the better one than 4. So I'm not going to deny that.
Right. Oh, yeah, it is in 6. Well, that's why I said like both of them. I do like 6 the most myself. So there isn't really they're all pretty much the same in a sense. So yeah. I think you could just say any of them, but yeah, I would definitely say 4 or 5 are good standout picks to decide on.
Yeah, I just think that they play better. And I think I just think the mini games are much more fun in 4 or 5 than 6 and 7. Although 6 and 7 does have a few good ones, but still.
Right.
So you could pick those up for $60, which is a lot. It's a lot.
It's full price.
But not as much as this next one, man. And let me tell you, this fits in so perfectly because the next title I have in my list, Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door.
160 to 200 is how I found it.
Yeah, that's about what I said. Greater than $100.
It is. It's unfortunate. I know that there's a lot of people who prefer the first one over Thousand Year Door.
So,
but I still think it's worth picking up. It's a really solid game.
I was talking to my mom about the collection itself because when I saw this, I was like, all right, now I'm just curious of like what all of these are worth now. And I was telling her that like if I were to sell my entire GameCube collection at this point, I would make easily $1,000 plus, just because of the prices on all of the games out there now. Probably more in the $1,500 range. It's crazy. Like I don't know what's up with GameCube recently, but they're just like super high up there. But
they were a little lower earlier, I remember. So.
Yeah. So I love the Thousand Year Door. I don't think this is I would say that you might be better off trying to find it at a garage sale, honestly. But even so, finding GameCube games out in the wild is a very difficult thing. It is
like the specific ones in particular.
When I go garage selling myself, I usually find PlayStation 2 a lot, maybe some PS3 and Xbox 360 starting to kind of show up nowadays that are just sitting there for $5 to $10, if that even less. I try not to buy stuff that's more than maybe $5 to $10 unless I know it's like going to be worth a lot more at a fair price. You know, if a game's worth $50 and you know the garage sailor is selling it for like $15, like yeah, sure, I'll spend the $15 to buy that right then and there. But for stuff that's like, you know, cheap, I will probably buy it like, you know, even somewhere down like $2 to $3. You know, I'll try to haggle people to, you know, kind of maybe take a couple dollars off, or maybe I'll try to make deals. You know, if they have like 2 or 3 games that I want and they want, you know, $6 for all of them, I'll say, would you take all 3 of these for 15?
For 15.
So, it's just
yeah, that's the shame though with a lot of, like, there's no accessible way of getting these, and that's why there's so many proponents against just, you know, Nintendo doing what they do and then just knocking out the GameStop online. Like, you know, someone was like, well, you could just get the Paper Mario on the Virtual Console. And you can't. They closed the Wii shop. You can't get that no more.
Yeah.
So, like, what? You're gonna shell out like 160 for a game like that? No, that's unreasonable for a lot of people. And
yeah,
like that's really the unfortunate thing about collecting in particular too. Well, keep going.
Okay, sorry, I was letting you finish. So.
Oh no, that's all right. I was done.
But yeah, I think this is kind of a change in gears though with Thousand Year Door because it is an RPG, as opposed to a lot of the party games that we're having. But I think like putting RPGs like this on there to really kind of define just the good of the console in its own right. You know, the Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, though it's not the hardest RPG in the world, I will play that game many more times in my life because it's just that good and it will always be.
Yes, I agree. I think that's the.
Oh. Careful there.
Sorry. I was pulling it. Yeah, I agree with that. Paper Mario, for most of them, is definitely a thing that's easy to return to. I think I replayed Thousand Year Door multiple times, 3 times, I think, and that's why it's one of my favorite games, just in general. I think if I had the Paper Mario at that time, I would probably switch my opinion because I did not play Paper Mario first, the N64 one first. I played the GC one.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's that.
Speaking of RPGs, I'd also like to add on to this list Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. Which is also funny because we have Pokemon XD and Coliseum music playing in the background there too. I really enjoyed playing these games. I think there's just a really solid vibe with XD Gale of Darkness more so than Coliseum. That's just my personal opinion. I mean, Coliseum works great too if you want to grab that one. I just think XD did it a little bit better. There's a lot of debate. There's a lot of debate between that too, but I just again, XD I think just played more fun than Coliseum did for me. So that's what I'd have to say about that. The only thing I don't like about Coliseum and XD is the lame ability to catch wild Pokemon and the non-existent ability to catch wild Pokemon. The issue isn't so much so that you can't get enough Pokemon and stuff like that. My issue is that you can't like level up your Pokemon fast enough. You know, there's only so many trainers that you can battle throughout, you know, the Ore region, and then it's like, where else do you go to kind of grind your Pokemon? So that's my biggest complaint about that game. But I thought they did a really good job kind of focusing the game on the story more so.
The setting is like the coolest Pokemon one ever, I gotta say.
Yeah. And
you ride these cool bikes, and then you're this edge dude with the shadow arm that he stole.
Yeah, and with Coliseum for sure, you know, they start you with what, level 30 Pokemon. So I mean, like, you're already up there, and you're already able to battle for a lot more. So even though there's not too much grinding that you, I think, have to do to kind of get through most of the game, with the exception of maybe like a couple bosses here and there, you know, I feel like it isn't like super duper difficult to kind of just fly through that game when need be.
Right. XD kind of felt a little really different. It felt like it wasn't done by Nintendo or Pokemon or Game Freak, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Not to say that that's bad. It just felt like really different to me.
Well, I mean, Pokemon has always had this. Pokemon's had a really good run of luck, honestly, with their spin-off titles. Like,
yeah,
you could throw Pikachu into literally any game, and it will sell. Guy, I got this racing game. Here's Pikachu. Boom, $60 out of your pocket.
Pokemon Chose. I think that's the one with the racing.
Hey, here's Pikachu on a Lego kit. Boom, $150 out of your pocket.
Boom. Big shot.
Hey, here's this Pikachu N64. Boom, $200 out of your pocket.
I don't know this song. It's 10, but I don't remember.
You know what? This is like one of the first songs you hear in Final Fantasy X.
Oh, is it like when they're doing the little performance thing?
No, that's when the world's ending.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so... but okay, anyways, enough about Pokemon XD. So the next game I have on my list is Pikmin. Way. So I had a really big debate on whether or not I should put Pikmin or Pikmin 2. So I will say this. This is a starters list and a starter kit. And because of that, I have no technical sequels on most of this list here.
Yeah, aside from 1,000 Year would kind of count.
But what I'm saying is that, like, you can play
1,000 without having played the other ones.
Yeah, like, you don't need to
even
play...
Pikmin 2 counts, then, because sure, you kind of need to, but not also.
But I think the thing I come up with Pikmin 1 is I think it's more classic than Pikmin 2. I think it has a more immersive experience when you get dropped into that world. Like, you're on this conquest to save yourself through that. You know, it's your first time experiencing the Pikmin. It's your first time, you know, understanding how Pikmin work, working with the Pikmin. And Pikmin 2, like, it's so much so... Pikmin 2 really is more of a sequel than I think people kind of let it on to be. And I think it's more of a... game where a lot of it's already been kind of spelled out because you played the first one, you know? Like, right. I know it does a really good job of re-explaining how the controls and stuff work out, but like for most of the people in this chat, because you guys have seen me play Pikmin plenty of times before, like, can you remember the first time you really sat down with Pikmin or watched Pikmin and everything, and you were like, what is going on with this game? How does this work and stuff? Like, I can't even remember the first time I did that. Like, it was years ago. I mean, like, we're talking like almost 20 years ago. Was the first time I sat down with Pikmin.
I wasn't born. I was like 2 years old.
Yeah. So like, so when you like thinking about it, you know, it's like, I think when it comes to people that have never played a Pikmin game before, I would say that Pikmin 1 would, I think, be more interesting experience than Pikmin 2. I just think Pikmin 2 drops you in the middle of the story, because especially too, because like you have to go back to Hocotate Freight. You know, they explain the little side story in the beginning, or the beginning story for like 5 seconds, and then you return home, and it's like, why am I here? What is going on? Where are the Pikmin? All this kind of stuff. In the first game, you know, you start off, you're flying your rocket, and you get hit by a meteorite. You crash land on a planet. There's the Pikmin. Boom.
Right.
So I just think that it's more classically done, and I think it's more. I think for a starter kit, I think I'd prefer it on there, as opposed to Pikmin 2. Now, as a collector, I think you should own both of them at some point, but I just think Pikmin 1 is better suited than Pikmin 2.
I would kind of, since I actually have never played 2, 2 seems a little more lenient, though, if I could say, for the newcomer, because you have the hard 30 days, don't you, in 1, and then 2, not really? You know, they have a deadline.
Yeah. So you have the deadline in 1, which is scary, so to say, and does make the game more difficult. However, in Pikmin 1, you also don't have to get every single treasure.
Yeah.
So to get a good ending. So, I think that a lot of people were scared about the 30-day limit, but like when you think about it, it's 30 days to get it's one part a day if you really want to go down that route.
Oh, that's scary.
So, but I mean, like, you know, based on like speedrunners, you know, speedrunners have timed it out where they can get, you know, 8, 9, 10 parts in a day. You know, the current world record. The current world record speedrun is, you know, 5-6 days now. So it's 1 day in the impact site, 1 day in the Forest of Hope to get everything, 1 day in the Forest Navel to get everything, 1 day back in the impact site to get that one treasure or the one part to finish that off, 1 day in the Distant Spring, and then the last day in the final trial. So
1.
Yeah, so like you can really haul in that game, and I think as long as you're open-minded to the work ethic that has to go into running an RTS, I think it isn't that big of a deal to get at least 25%, which I think is, or 25 out of 30.
25 out of 30.
Yeah. So that's
25% is like.
Yeah, no, I know. I said that. I was like, no, that's not right. So,
5, 6.
So I think Pikmin 1 is better for this list, but I do.
Okay.
As much as I keep saying Pikmin 1 is a great game, I do respect and understand that Pikmin 2 is probably a better built game.
I always think it would be fun if you went back to Pikmin 1 on the channel, just because you've cut it down so much. That would be like you could also just restart, and so then it would be like 4 parts.
it would be funny to just post a whole speed run. Like if I could shave it down to like an hour and a half, that'd be funny to see.
For those who don't know, his current speed run I think is 2 hours and 22 minutes.
Yeah, I'd like to someday get that back under or get that under 2 hours, but I don't know.
But like his first playthrough, he did 2008. That it took him 20 days. Now it takes him like 11. So that's always fun to consider.
So moving on. Funny enough, keep this trend going here. The next game on here, Super Mario Sunshine, the perfect summer game.
Yeah, I have it on that list.
You cannot get a better summer game than Super Mario Sunshine. As long as you get past the weird controls, I think for Sunshine, which is I think what most people really hated about it. It's such a good game. The environment is perfect. Why they haven't made an HD remake of this game, I have no idea. But at the same time, when you think about it, like there hasn't really been an HD remake for any 3D Mario game. Like they've had Super Mario 64 out for years now, and the only remake we've really seen is the DS version.
And then we found Luigi. That was like, real.
And that was like, okay. I mean, it was good, but it was,
Sunshine is like, I think one of those games that has gotten a heavy reevaluation, because I think at the start it was like, this is the follow-up to 64, but then now it's like, this was the follow-up to 64.
Yeah.
Which I think, like, I'm a big fan of it. Man, Brian, it sucks. Son Brian here in the chat, he had a really cool little button-up version that he wears once he beat the game.
Oh yeah,
he left it at a hotel, and I'm like, bummer, dude.
You know, somebody found it and was like, dude, this is amazing.
Bro, the Yankee with the sunshine with no Sprite. But yeah, that would have been a good find for whoever was at the. I don't think they sent it back to him.
No,
he's there. He could report. He could report. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Sunshine. It's it's hard to play because for me I have such a delay on my GameCube whenever I play nowadays, because of the fact that if I record it, I have to run it through a bunch of a bunch of wires. Yeah. So a lot of my inputs would get delayed, and I think that's why, like when John and I played Galaxy, and I had to take controls from him because he was messing up really bad. Like I was like, "Whoa, this is hard to play."
What did you say?
Oh, you know,
are you saying that you beat the level for Johnny?
Okay, no, this is a different time when it's like I need to show. Shut up. It's the part where John was like, I can't do this, and I was like, oh, let me show you how you could do it. And he's like, right at the end, I had to jump off and he's like, okay, Kevin, I understood it. And then he got it then, but like it's the versus the Galaxy Mario, you know that one? When you just do not the race.
Oh yeah.
Against the little Cosmic Mario. Cosmic Mario, I think.
Yeah. All right.
That's a sidetrack. But yeah, Sunshine is, I think, definitely a big pick to get. Yeah. You can't get it anywhere else.
All right.
But I just remembered though, Pikmin does have re-releases on the Wii with different.
They do. But I still, part of me still kind of likes the original versions as opposed to the Wii.
Yeah, I haven't played the Wii one, so I can't actually advocate for the control aspect of it.
I mean, like, I guess my issue is that like I just don't like Wii controls. Like I don't like pointing at the screen because I never find it to work all that well. It always takes me.
Okay.
Well, it's just more so that like anytime I use a Wiimote, like pointing at the screen is always just a struggle for me, I think.
It depends on your environment for sure.
Yeah.
And I can find a lot of times it's not working too well, but the other times I think that's a lot of, because I always think about Skyward Sword, how I think it's a really good game, but then a lot of people had problems with the controls, and I don't think it's fair to write that off as, well, it's their fault, you know?
Yeah.
Like I didn't have too many problems, but there are a lot of times too.
Okay, so, but yeah, Sunshine is sitting at a nice crisp $80, which is surprising, actually.
Yeah, it's not too high. I thought it was gonna be higher.
But moving on, WarioWare Inc.
WarioWare, yeah.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that game. Like, seriously, it's the perfect party game to just drop in front of people, just get them a controller. The controls have literally been made stupid for people, like purposely stupid. Like, they are. It's literally the stick and the A button and nothing else. You need nothing else to play. It is literally Atari controls. That is how they built that entire game. It was with Atari controls. Like, seriously.
Out of the series, would you say that one is like your favorite?
Oh yeah, no. So I remember when we did the last Gameathon, we put WarioWare Smooth Moves on there. Me and Troy both said it. We're like, we should just play the Gamecube one because I'd rather play that one instead of WarioWare. Like, because Smooth Moves doesn't do a very good. Their multiplayer is good, but it's like not great.
I get that. I think Smooth Moves was pretty good, but like I actually did end up returning it at one point.
Yeah. So it's a fun game to play every now and then, but like as far as Wario games,
I don't know why they keep double playing.
It's time for Mojif.
Machine Overlord Justice, friends. This is Yakuza 5.
But anyways, moving on. I got two more to go through, and then
all right,
move on because we're like really. This is going longer than I thought it would.
Yeah, I don't think we'll do the second topic at this rate.
Yeah, maybe we'll just keep this to GameCube at this point.
Well, no, I meant like because we have two topics today. I was like, I just like the list. The list is fun.
Okay, that's fine. We can take a break after we do GameCube and come back to PS2. Save. Unless you guys are really wanting sandcastles, in which case, you know. We can do that.
Sandcastles was so hard for me because I was like, well, I didn't find any like terrible ones. I found a lot of cool ones. And I'm man, I want to cite these sources, so I had to go look who the artist was for that.
Oh yeah, no, I just found cool ones. I didn't find any bad ones. I don't think I put on there terrible.
Oh look, it's the two Mojif boys.
Yeah, there they are. Well, Mojif's not happening right now.
Well, this is the old Mojif thing. The new one is Danganronpa Pasito.
No, that's the Johnny one.
What? Oh, it's both. This is season 1 of Mojif. Let's get going.
So I have two more on my list. The next one is
Slayer.
This one I think is a little bit different from most of the other stuff that I put on here. But Star Fox Assault. Was a really solid Star Fox game that nobody apparently remembered.
That is basically like, because I didn't have Halo growing up too much. That was my Halo. Used to play the multiplayer a lot with my friends.
Yeah, no, I wish I did have this growing up because it really is a solid shooter game, all things considered. And the story is really solid, too. And, like, isn't just a remake of the original story again, like they did 3 times in a row.
Now, I think there are some complaints about, like, I think the the missions where you aren't in the R-wing in the story mode are kind of a pain, or a big pain.
The ones where you're actually shooting people do become a little obnoxious sometimes.
Because it's like, where do you go? It's so labyrinthine.
And that does suffer from the fact that you are using GameCube controls to play a 3D or a third-person shooter as it is.
And it is also kind of a shorter game in general, but I would recommend that over Adventures anytime.
Yeah, well, that's the thing too, is that like it goes back to keeping the game as actiony and as kind of fast-paced as possible, which I think is really kind of what rail shooters are all about, at its core. Like not being able to relax and getting through that level, and then when you accomplish that beating of that level, you're like, yeah, I did it. I got through this complete and awful mess of a level here. So even though, it's a lot more, you might have a little bit more downtime at the shooting levels, there's still plenty of R-Wing and Landmaster modes where you're still kind of, pushing through to beat everything.
I was doing a playthrough of it on stream at one point. I forget why I stopped. I just stopped because I didn't want to play it. Not that I guess wasn't. I don't think the stream went well. I think I'll go back to it though.
Well, I think I kind of have an interest in myself actually playing that game again, so I might do it on. That'd actually be a decent YouTube series because it'd just be 10 straight parts through.
Or so, yeah.
It's 10 missions all the way through, so it's not terribly long either. Which
the final part is so tough though, even if you're.
Yeah, it can't. The game does get kind of difficult pretty quick if you learn it. So. All right, and then my last game on the list, The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. I just can't see a GameCube collection without it. All Nintendo's consoles need a defining game or a defining Zelda game, and even though Twilight Princess is the better version on GameCube, I still think that game sold more Wiis than GameCube.
Yes.
All things considered.
I don't see a lot of people like owning the GameCube one.
Yeah, like I know
they just forget.
I know it plays better. I know it's like a much probably better experience, but like it really is a more defining Wii game, I think.
I also think about it like they also had the Ocarina and Majora ports, didn't they? And I always forget that those exist.
Yeah, no. So they had the Hyrule. Oh God, what's it called?
Treasure Trove.
That game's really expensive too. Like I've debated to myself if I ever want it or not, because like I own all 4 of those games as their own thing, so it's like, do I really need this? But like every GameCube like owner talks about that, how great that thing is, because it's just this collector's edition of Zelda. So and like it was a really fair price, because I think it was like $30 or $40 when it came out first. It wasn't even a $60 game.
And then boom.
Yeah, now it's like $1 bazillion to own it.
So I have a little caveat, because like we were talking about exclusives. It's hard to say, because if I were asked, do you recommend getting the Wind Waker on the GameCube or the Wii U? Which one should I get?
So
I think, go ahead.
That's an interesting question, and we were going to talk, like we talked about. I told Speed, I'm like, don't talk about it right now. Let's talk about this podcast, because it is a really interesting question. I say yes, only for the GameCube, only because, again, I think that if you're going out of your way to go and buy a GameCube right now and you're looking to start that collection, I think, again, you would want to experience the game how it originally intended to be. So I would say yes to that only in that sense. If you're just looking to play a version of that game, then I would probably say the Wii U HD remake of it.
Because the Switch sale saves so much time.
Yeah. And
among other factors.
Yeah, I mean, sure, there's the Swift sale, and sure, there's the Triforce charts, which are better placed around. But I would say more so, I think it just graphically looks better on the Wii U. Like,
I think the GameCube one is such a testament to its graphical styling, though, because it looks so darn good still. But I do think the Wii U just went in the right direction with it. High Bloom, go ahead.
So
I think it looks good.
So I think more people are going to be more impressed with the Wii U version than they are with the GameCube version by today's standards. So, and plus the Wii U has HDMI, so it'd be better to play it on that port than.
Wind Waker is my favorite Zelda, I think, in general. So I would have put it on the list if not for the fact that it is kind of multi-platform otherwise.
So that's my entire GameCube list. I was supposed to have 10. I had 12 though, but I think all those games would really be a solid start. Now, the fun part here is let me grab.
Grab what?
Oh, I'm sorry. You were dancing with the calculator.
Oh.
So now if we go into the standard calculator here, does it beep when you play it? Okay, so let's take a look here. So now for a standard GameCube, I said I think you could probably find one for $30 to $50, but like depending on what kind of accessories and stuff you want with it, like if you want a Wavebird or you need memory cards and all that kind of stuff, I'd say you're probably paying more so $50 to $75 if you buy it straight off of eBay or something like that. So I'm just gonna say 75 just to kind of be as honest and upfront about it. What happened to the music?
I don't know.
There's just
they just 50 minutes of nothing.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Go ahead, switch that over. Okay, so let's add up my list here of how much you're gonna be spending here. So 75 for the Cube, 55 for Smash Brothers, 50 for Air Ride. I put 25 to 40 for Luigi's Mansion. I'm just gonna say 30. 50 for Double Dash, 60 for Mario Party. I'll say 150 for Thousand Year Door, just to be honest with it. 45 for Pikmin, 85 for XD, 80 for Sunshine, 50 for WarioWare, 35 for Star Fox, and 50 for Wind Waker. That brings you a grand total of $815 without tax. So if you want a GameCube in today's era, good luck. But
just buy one game and be happy with your collection.
Yeah, no, I mean like this is a huge list of games to I think buy. I think like if you buy 3 of them, or just take 3 of them off on this list and go for it, I think you'd be okay. So you'd still be spending $200 to $300 maybe, give or take. But again, buy 3 and then kind of garage sale around and keep working if you're really trying to kind of collect games.
Right.
So that's my list. Why don't you go ahead and give your list now?
All right. So I'm gonna just say the ones. She crashed Paper Mario. It's like how Carl's mom was like, "Is this the Great Deku Tree? Is this the Great Deku Tree? Where's the hammer? Where's the hammer? My son, I can't find it." Yeah, GameCube games are the crazy, man.
What's up, Live Green? How are you today?
So the ones that we just discussed that I'll just skip over. I don't have all the prices on mine added up either, or able to add up. So, but I think you'll get a general gist of how expensive it is. Thanks for the subscription, Brian.
Thanks for the subscription, Brian. You're simply unbelievable.
So Smash, Sunshine, Double Dash, Thousand Year Door. Those are the ones I actually have on my list. The ones that Carl doesn't have on his list.
Uh-oh, he's frozen. We've lost him again. So how's it? Oh, there he is.
Oh, me? Animal Crossing.
So I thought about that. It's a very good pick. I fully understand why it's on there. I really did think about that game. I think a couple of things bothered me about collecting that game is you have to, especially if you're going for like a complete kind of set of stuff, you need the memory card. I mean, you don't need it, but like it's just part of that. Like you wish you had everything with it together.
I get that. The one with KK Slider on it going, "Hey, this is a nice tree."
Yeah, pretty much.
But like I said, I think peripherals add to the fun of collecting.
That's true.
Hey, shh, little G, shh. Later. So, Animal Crossing seems to... Little Green? I didn't say that. I said lime green.
Oh,
okay, Little Green.
I heard Little G. I'm like, what?
Little G. Hey, what's up, G? Can you make me a sandwich? No. Animal Crossing runs about 50, but that doesn't include the memory card. Animal Crossing, I've already said it is one of my favorite series. And I think the first one is the most different. which makes it stand alone. Like the other ones won't play like that. You won't have your neighbors steal things from you, paint your roof a different color that you didn't want it to be, or just insult you like they don't do nowadays. So I think that the first one is definitely a unique experience that is worth playing through as well as owning.
So I guess my issue for it would be that it's the kind of if you're starting out with the GameCube collection, if you've never played anything before, I just think I'd almost honestly say that Harvest Moon might be the better choice for you then over Animal Crossing, even though they're very different games.
I have Harvest Moon Magical Melody. I do have Harvest Moon Magical Melody.
I just think, especially in today's age, I think it's kind of one of those games where it's like you have to really start getting into GameCube, just kind of being like, okay, I really want this to be part of my collection at that point, you know? I just think that
I can see where you're going at, but I think I think a GVG as Jeff or whatever who still plays it to this day, and I'm like, well, yeah, there's a reason to.
Yeah.
But I also get that it's one of the more accessible series on this list, in that you can just pick up the new one. But I think it's personally, I think it's worth owning in the collection. And then Magical Melody. So I have a caveat. There is also Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life, but that's also on the GameCube, the PS2, and the PS4. So that's why I opted for Magical Melody instead. On the side, if you were to get A Wonderful Life, I would definitely recommend the GameCube one or the PS4 one, because the PS2 one has a slowdown, which is not fun in a game that's already slow paced.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, Magical Melody, I think it's a good time. You don't hear it from me. I apparently haven't played it.
How much is Magical Melody?
$90 plus.
Ooh.
Apparently, which is like, what? Okay, the next one, Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. This is a sought-after game. In my case, for Carl, he found it for like $2.
I found it for $2 at a garage sale. It is. I looked it up. It's $300 now on eBay.
Which, pardon my language, pisses me off, man. Because I lost mine. I think my friend is borrowing it, but like he doesn't know where it went. And I'm like, where is it? He's like, I don't know. And I'm like, Right now, when I looked it up, it's $200 to $400. Yeah. It's one of the major titles for Fire Emblem, I would say, because it's like, I wouldn't say it's the starting point, because the starting point for a lot of people was the Game Boy, because it wasn't ported yet. Otherwise, I think Path of Radiance, a lot of people jive with Ike for a reason, because that's a pretty solid, Shazumi. What else I got on here? Chibi Robo, yeah, LG. I put little G. I put Chibi Robo on that list. Carl, do you own it? I forgot.
Yes, I do, actually. It's
a niche title that I'm really into. It's such a laid back game. I think if I were to do another, if I were to decide a next game to stream, I might do that. Honestly, now I'm thinking about it. But unfortunately, if you want to pick it up for yourself, it is $200 to $400.
Yep.
I didn't think that game went up in price, but definitely did.
You know what's the funny thing with Chibi Robo is, I got it for free. You know something else? I got it for free from Troy. Thanks, Troy.
Doshin the Giant? No, unfortunately.
I'd play that if it had some sort of English version.
I was thinking of putting Odama, but it's like I didn't even play that, and I don't think it's that good. What else? Tube Slider. Tube Slider is a weird one. That's the other racing game. So Tube Slider, I actually didn't know about this until I looked it up. It was originally going to be the next F-Zero game, but then it was made into its own thing. It's got a rockin' soundtrack. It's visually pretty pleasing. If you want to play a different kind of F-Zero game that isn't F-Zero, I'd say that's a fun one. And it is one of the cheaper ones that I've written down. It's $50 to $200 depending. And then lastly, Eternal Darkness. I think it's a really solid horror game. It's one of the first ones to really introduce the anxiety meter or stress meter, where if it's the sanity meter, where if it's low, the game will start messing with you. Like, for example, it'll pretend like you have no save data at times, and it'll do other stuff like just show you random clips of stuff, and it's like, whoa, what's going on here? And Mantarok Parthon or whatever. It's a good time. Have you ever played it, Carl?
I have not.
Oh, I think it's worth picking up and trying. I'd say it's a known horror classic that uniquely, interestingly, did find its place way onto GameCube. I honestly would have thought it would be a PS2 game, but no, it's not a.
Well, you know, they gotta get stuff on GameCube.
Gotta get it on. Hello, Dolly.
They had to they had to put Mortal Kombat on the Nintendo, otherwise no kitty or no older person would buy it. So they gotta get their horror on the. Because Luigi's Mansion wasn't cutting it for a horror game, clearly.
it really isn't that spooky. But when you're a kid, it's I'm scared. Diapers, please.
I'm sorry. Could you say spooky again?
A spooky.
I thought you said it like
a spook. How'd I say it?
No, like what? The E3 performance where we're spooky.
Spooky.
Yeah.
And then I have some honorable mentions. Tales of Symphonia. It was originally a GC game. It's one of the most well-known Tales of series games. But it is also on the PS3, and I would recommend that over the GC one if you're not a collector, because they fixed the combat and they fixed a lot of things. They added skits, they added outfits. They also fixed the camera and multiplayer. Because in the first game on GC, if you're playing with more than one person, it only pays attention to the first person, whereas in the remaster, it pulls out the camera and it's like, okay, I can see what I'm doing. And then my other one, because there are some that are GC and PS2, so I'll wait until we get to that part. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. Oh, here Kirby I Ride. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles is on the GameCube and will be ported soon. I would probably wait. It is? I don't think it's out yet. I think it comes out in August. I think it comes out this month, actually.
It's coming for Switch, right?
I don't remember anymore. I think it's PC, PS4, and Switch, if I can recall.
You're correct. And Android.
Android. That's strange.
Yeah, Android, iOS.
I'll definitely. It's not out yet, but I would probably recommend the new one just because having to set up all these Game Boys to play with your boys is not a thing this boy is really into.
It's funny because Crystal Chronicles is it's one of the games I sold.
Ooh.
I never played it, and I sold it because I was just like, this is dumb.
It needs too many peripherals, but otherwise it's a fun game, especially with friends who are into it.
I'm almost looking forward to the Switch release then. Actually, I pulled all that up, and I was going to see when that was supposed to come out.
Let's play it on the channel. Or not the channel, but the channel would be
You are correct. It is August 27th.
Yeah.
So
you found me.
25 more days.
But yeah, that's the GameCube games. I do have, like I said, I have a couple that are also PS2, but I'll wait until we get to that segment after a commercial break.
Oh yes, that is true. Whose turn is it?
You.
Oh,
okay. I did the conditioner last, the shampoo.
Oh, all right. Well, I guess I gotta find some.
Oh.
Are you okay over there?
Oh, sorry, I've been drinking wrong.
Where is it located?
Yeah. That's cute.
Okay, so mute that. Is it this one? No, I gotta think of something. Oh, okay, I got something here.
Okay.
Are you guys ready for something unique and mysterious to happen on the Carl 101 show? Well, tune in this Friday and tune in later on to the podcast when I release the schedule for something completely different, completely strange, and completely wonderful.
Wonderful ones, no one.
I will give you a hint though.
Oh,
before
I've always been a wonderful life.
It's not that. It's not that.
Dang.
I'll give you a hint though. On the Carl 101 show, the mood is going to be literally this.
What? Okay, I can't. Hold on. Are you playing music right now?
Yeah, I am playing music. But that's the mood.
Oh, so it's Harvest Moon and Wonderful Life.
Yeah. So Brian knows what it is. I'll leave it at that. Brian knows. So
that's not enough of a hint for Kevin.
No,
you said wonderful, which is threw me off.
So tune in later when I go through the schedule. You will see. It'll be so much fun. It'll be completely. Nobody will get it. I guarantee you. That's today's commercial because I worked on
Guitar Man.
All right. Okay, so we were gonna do sandcastles and we decided.
That's a bull every time. That's yourself.
Yeah, that's how good advertising works. Welcome to Hexagon Inc., where we advertise about ourselves a lot of the time, all the time,
that's
every time.
That's honky and tonky, bro. Whatever. Now I'm curious. It's not like I can't. It's not like I can leave now. Wait until you just tell us what the next thing is. What are you looking at? You looking at for a ghost?
Hold on a second.
What's happening?
It smells like a skunk just sprayed.
It's Troy. It's Troy. it's Skuntank. It's from Team Skull.
It's not Troy's ghost. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, I know what happened. It's because he brought up Melee.
That joke is already too far ahead. So okay, let's get back into this. I'll deal with whatever. Okay, so moving on. So our other collector starter kit that we'd like to talk about is the PlayStation 2 console that came out right at the same time as the GameCube. Was actually first to hit the market, I think, of all three of that generation systems. It was for the longest time and it still is, isn't it? The most sold console on the market.
We beat it.
No, I think we came close.
Let's look at it.
Yeah.
Top selling. The Ouya.
Yeah, that Ouya. Oh, it's still up.
I think it's the PS2.
Yeah, PS2 is still up there with DS being right next to it. And then Game Boy at third.
Below
and
that?
PlayStation 4. So Wii is actually in sixth place.
Listen to the song. Oh, okay. I thought it sold like a lot more than, but it's still fair. Man.
So yeah, it is the number one best-selling console in the world. The PlayStation 2. It came out at a time when graphics were really taking their stride into perfecting 3D and all that kind of stuff. So let's get to it.
Sorry, I'm just curious. Where is the Switch on there? Because it is selling quite a good amount, but it's not the top, is it? Or not around up there.
Which console?
The Switch.
It's like number 10. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11,
55.77 million copies. Okay, yeah,
so
it's not the highest. Above the Xbox One.
Yeah, it's number 13 on the list right now, so it's got a ways to go. Still hasn't surpassed the original NES, believe it or not. But
well, it's better than the Wii U, so.
But it for sure is going to go further and far beyond because it has definitely got a more demand than what a gosh darn, I can't think of words today. It's more demand than more supply. That's what I'm thinking of. So
yeah.
Okay, so when I think of PlayStation 2, it's definitely a very different Switch from the GameCube. It is more of a console, I think, for PlayStation 2, I didn't find it too much so for the RPGs, even though I know there are plenty of great RPGs on there, but I only have, technically speaking, one RPG that I listed. Oh, I guess two.
I didn't want to put something too neat because there's a lot of niche ones, but like those, like I was gonna put a Tell Your Iris on there. It's like,
yeah. So, but it when I think of PlayStation 2, I think of actually more so, shooter.
Yes.
And so, get out of here, Nat.
I have a lot of horror games on mine.
And racing console. I have a few racing games on mine, so.
All right, let's get that one out of the way. Gran Turismo 3 Ace.
I put Gran Turismo 4.
Oh, 4.
4. I like.
But there's no.
I when it came down to it, I found myself playing 4 more often. It has more tracks. It has more to offer for anybody. I think it's the better version to get as opposed to grabbing 3.
I got owned.
The only reason I would say to grab 3 is because you can do the wheelie glitch, and that's like it. But I do know there's a lot of people that say 3 was a lot better than 4, but I just think that 4 just had a lot more to offer. They had the more off-roading tracks that you could go into. They had the driving missions. They had more cops, more cars, all that kind of stuff. So,
all right, fair enough. I think 3 is the more classic one, and I think that's why I put it on there. Actually,
I'm also not 100% sure, but I think Gran Turismo 4 is also one, if not the best graphical game on the PlayStation 4 or the PlayStation 2. I mean,
it does look.
It was one of the few games I think was able to run 720p. I think maybe 720 and 1080i. I'm pretty sure, like one of the very few games that could do it. You're muted. There you go.
Help! Hello?
Yeah, you're good.
Carl?
Hello?
Hey, I have an idea. Let's close draw pile if we're not gonna do it.
Oh yeah, we can do that.
Oh, thank God. Okay, discard. There you go. Might have saved face there.
Okay.
Sorry.
Saved face. We've ruined Troy's face.
Who?
Yeah. So
I wasn't Troy. That was the minus one.
so
yeah, you're saying it was a graph a 720.
Yeah, so I think between 3 and 4, I think 4 looks the prettiest of the both of them too, just to add more uniqueness to the game.
Okay.
And come on, it had Gymkhana. Like everybody loves Gymkhana.
Personally, the 3 had Snoop Dogg in it, so I don't know if 4 had Snoop Dogg.
4, you could. Hey, I could put Snoop Dogg on 4. Okay. I want
but you're a proponent against like, oh, what's the point of having music play on the side thing, or putting music on the console?
It's true. It is 100% true. I would just rather put on some jams if I really wanted to.
Jim who?
So, yeah. So okay, Gran Turismo 4 for sure. The nice thing about PlayStation 2 is that all these games are significantly cheaper.
There's a somewhere ones, but.
Yeah, but like as far like this is a much better console to start collecting for. If you're between these two, I would say start with PlayStation 2.
Yes.
See what happens with the GameCube because
there's a lot of junk on PS2 too. That's fun to pick up for a fun collection.
Yeah. So I honestly speaking, I think our lists are going to be vastly different for PlayStation 2 than they are for GameCube. So
because there's not just a unified. Because Mario, it was such a unifying thing about the Nintendo, the GameCube. So.
Yeah. So moving on. One of the games that I think really put the PlayStation 2 into the truest of true perspectives, and I know this is a strange game because there are better versions and better sequels to it, but Grand Theft Auto 3 for PlayStation 2 is a game I think really defines that console. It was such a game that just like when it came out, it was so significantly different. It was so brand new to what was going on there, and it took a concept that people already loved on the original PlayStation and really just re-enhanced it. You know, on the original, if anybody's ever played Grand Theft Auto 1 or 2, I like those games. They're
definitely different than what they are now.
And they're a little outdated for sure. But those games are great. I love Grand Theft Auto 2. It's one of my favorite PlayStation 2 games, or PlayStation 1 games for sure.
And it stars me, doesn't it?
Is there a cat? No.
No, there's a Speed. Claude Speed, or is that the first one?
No, I think I don't know. Cloud's in 2 and 3.
There's a character named Claude Speed.
Maybe that's 2. I don't remember.
Well, anyway.
But yeah. So you know, when they came out with 3, I remember playing that game for hours, just trying to figure out all the ridiculous things. And really, I think that's when the ideas for a lot of like what Grand Theft Auto 5 is based off of, you know, just the whole let's go into this environment and have fun. I mean, even though that was still a thing in Grand Theft Auto 1 and 2, causing rampages and stuff like that, you know, it was an idea that, you know, was kind of solidified into what it is today on Grand Theft Auto 5. They had unique jumps to go find. They had, goofy guns to go blast friends or not necessarily friends, but just people, AI and stuff with, and anybody that's watched, Grand Theft Auto speedrun or Grand Theft Auto 3 speedrunners will all tell you that like it's always a unique experience every time you play that game. That's why I had no problem with just like popping it in. And I've seen so many people that harp on that game saying, it's out of date, it's no fun to play anymore. It's like, excuse me, absolutely, it is fun to play in this
on
day
the
and
streamer.
yeah, like. I'm not saying it's definitely not the best Grand Theft Auto game of that generation. If you want the best one, I think it's San Andreas. But I think if you want
some people like Vice City more,
but if you want a defining PlayStation 2 game that really was, I think GTA 3 is the one to go with.
Brian's right. This GTA 3 was the first stream to have sound commands on this channel.
That's true. So
and even on point.
So and that's where My Way became a thing too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the funny thing looking back is like, man, I don't remember how video gaming this game is. They have power-ups on the floor. Like power-up rings on the floor. And I was like, man, that's super video game. Nowadays, you walk into a store and then you gotta go like, oh, select the thing. They'll just pick it up off the floor. But yeah, I didn't play too much of 3, but 3 is definitely, I think, a pretty fun one still.
Yeah, I again, like I said, if you're talking about what's the better Grand Theft Auto game on the PlayStation 2, then San Andreas for sure. I would 100% say that game is so much better. But I just think that when it comes to a collector's edition and a collector's or not an edition, just a collector's starter kit, I just think Grand Theft Auto 3 fits better.
Yeah. Sorry, I think I'm losing frames again myself. But
oh yeah.
I'm hearing everything.
Moving on from that, you can pick that. And the nice thing about Grand Theft Auto 3 for PlayStation 2 also is that you can pick it up for $5, so not too cheap. And honestly, if you hunt further around, you could probably find it for like $1. So
yeah, that just goes to a testament how much cheaper these games are.
Yeah. So moving on, I have next up. I think this is also a PlayStation 2 classic, even though it's been re-released many times already. Jak and Daxter is pretty huge staple. It really, I think, more so is the evolution of what Crash Bandicoot was. So, but changed into a new,
more open world.
Yeah, and just a new kind of idea for what it could be futurized into. They had Crash Bandicoot 4, which I think did an okay of kind of keeping that style, but it was just so bland and plain. And then they took something like Jak and Daxter, which I think just really redefined, and Naughty Dog just kind of was like, this is so much better than Crash Bandicoot at this point now. So
I think about the movements. You have a spin move in Jak and Daxter in particular that is really Crashy like.
Yeah.
Both of those games did come out around the same time to the point where they are similar. I think more so when Jak and Daxter 2 became just Jak 2. It's a lot more Ratchet and Clanky at that point.
Yeah, and
I much prefer the first one over those myself.
Now the true thing is, you're right that it is, because we might as well talk about Ratchet and Clank 2 because that's also on my list as well. But I think you're right in the sense that I would say Jak and Daxter is more like an altered Ratchet and Clank, because Jak and Daxter is a more free world experience, whereas the original Crash Bandicoot games were go down the long hallway, that kind of stuff. So, but I just think that it's a Naughty Dog game, so I think they took a lot of what Crash Bandicoot kind of was and just threw it into that, and to kind of make it into its own little hybrid of taking on what Ratchet and Clank kind of is too. So Ratchet and Clank, I think, is very different in the sense, not so much between Jak 2, because obviously they started adding weapons in Jak 2 and Jak 3, but Ratchet and Clank got a much more bigger focus on using weapons. There was platforming, sure, but I was more so killing monsters and robots and stuff with weapons. It was all about getting that new weapon. Here's the Rhino at some point, which shoots a bazillion missiles everywhere, or here's this flamethrower, which can be
or
upgraded
the BFG.
Yeah, the BFG. There we go.
Imagine.
So, now both of the games are perfectly great, and that's why both of them are on my list here. But I just think that Jack 1 specifically, not Jack 2 and 3. Just I think was a little bit more Crash Bandicoot-y.
Yeah, they are the HD re-releases of the Jack and Daxter series, though, which if you're not a collector, those are probably the better ones to get.
Yeah, I would agree that if you're
then you get
collecting for PlayStation 2, then go for the collector or the remasters.
But I have to note, Dolly asked Kingdom Hearts. I would also they have re-released that so many times. I don't think it's as cool to have it on the. Okay, there are a couple of ones that are worth like if you're a collector, you want those really weird remixes. I think would be fun to own on PS2. But otherwise, I don't think those are really collector oriented in my opinion.
See, I put the original Kingdom Hearts on my list because I felt that it was a really big staple for that console.
Yes.
You know, back in the day, that was the only way you could play Kingdom Hearts. Nowadays, you have quite a few more options to do so, whether it be 1.5, 2.5, or the story so far. They're really trying to. You got to hand it to Square, even though it's silly to see all these remakes and remasters and stuff like that. Like, they are keeping the story up to date as it is,
Yeah, I think that's the sad thing about a lot of the games that like we're talking about. There's not an easy way to replay them. whereas Kingdom Hearts, it's like the Skyrim. Right?
So yeah, sure, for sure.
Sorry, Will's also talking about Persona 3 and Persona 4. I wouldn't put those on mine because Persona 4 Golden just came out on Steam. That's probably the better thing to play, especially because it has a lot of quality of life. And then Persona 3, yeah, FES. You could also I would also go for P3P on the PSP. So that it was kind of in a hard spot for me where to put them. But I didn't put either on my list, actually.
So because I do own Persona 3 and Persona 4, but I've never played them. So unfortunately, the thing too with picking out a lot of this list too is that I have to play these games in order to make an assessment. So all of these games that I have played on this list, I have played up to either beating or played so much so that I understand them fully enough to be like, these deserve to be on this list.
I did not play one on my list. Sorry.
So, but yeah, so for those two, Jack and Daxter and Ratchet and Clank for sure are pretty big staples in the PlayStation 2.
Yes.
The next one I have on my list also, again, it's got remakes up the wazoo. So Metal Gear Solid 3, I think, does it better than Metal Gear Solid 2.
Okay, I gotta say, real quick, I'm often the one who's like, no, well, I mean, if you want to just play the game, get the HD one. Yeah, I think that's the case to a degree, because in MGS3 and furthermore MGS Subsistence, those that have things that aren't in the HD remake.
No, it's
like in the first one. Subsistence, sorry. Like the first one has Snake versus Monkey. You don't get that in the HD one.
That's
and
true.
In Subsistence, you don't get the Secret Theater. So I think that's why I would say 3 is a good one to get for the PS2, because it doesn't have. Oh, and the vampire minigame, where Snake has a nightmare about vampires. That's not in the HD remaster.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. But I still think Metal Gear Solid 3 on the original, is still a staple. Again, I'm just basing it off of like my, that when I think of PlayStation 2, that's what I think of. I think of Metal Gear Solid 3. I think of, even though all these games are remade, you don't have to.
Yes.
At the end of the day, if you're just a video gamer and you want to go play whatever you think is the best, then yeah, for sure, go maybe grab the HD remakes, because even though they don't have Snake versus the Monkeys, which is very, very unfortunate.
Monkey.
They do look a lot better than the PlayStation 2 versions. I think they really have been enhanced much better.
Oh, banana.
So, but yeah, moving on. My next game on my list that I have. So we talked about Kingdom Hearts a little bit too. I still also think that that's a fair
purchase.
PS2 staple. Following that, I have Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3. I do know that this game is kind of a weird statement because there is the Xbox version that also came out at the same time, as well as the GameCube version. I just think the PlayStation 2 version did it better, and I think that Tony Hawk was. Although I like 1 and 2, I think 3 was at its true prime.
Right. It's funny to think though, like, you forget that the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 is like the second highest rated game of all time.
That's true.
It's like is your game good? Did it beat Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2? Then it's not good. And
But
3
it was-
is kind of up there too. It's like 94 on Metacritic.
Yeah, so I mean, like, I played a lot of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 in my life. I actually got a broken copy and had to return it and get a brand new one. So
Same with me with Persona 4. But then again, I broke it on accident.
yeah, so I just think that it's really. I don't know. I think GameCube did it pretty decent, but I think the PlayStation 2 version had the best version of it. Especially with the better graphics. I think between the 3 consoles, I think PlayStation 2 might have done the graphics possibly the best, maybe with Xbox being a little bit better here and
It's
there.
hard to say, yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. That's kind of where I just look at it, is that they for sure did it better when it came to Tony Hawk on PlayStation 1 and was Tony Hawk 1 and Tony Hawk 2. So I think Tony Hawk 3 was I still think it's the better version again. So
If I didn't put Tony Hawk on my list, but I probably would. I played more Thug and Thug 1 and 2, so.
see, I never played Thug, so that's probably why I didn't put it on there. But I think especially I would argue that in that case, again, this is just my argument. I don't say that that's not a bad idea because I know Thug is a really good game. I would say that Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 is a more introductory game for the PlayStation 2 in that sense. So Thug, I think
it's because the crass humor in Thug is less. It's not as easy to appeal to people rather than Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3, which doesn't really have that.
yeah, because like Thug has Bam Margera, which I have enjoyed Bam Margera many times throughout my life, but I think Bam adds kind of that more
Crass.
yeah. And Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 is more of just like, let's get out there, go for
Let's
it.
skate, bro.
Yeah.
Shaka.
So, but yeah, definitely Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3. I love that game. At some point, I'm gonna play it on stream because that's gotta be done.
Didn't stop you from playing you played the first one, right?
Yeah. Heck yeah, I did. And I gotta
Can you
play the
just
second one.
reuse the thumbnail and then just put the different logo?
Yeah, just put a 2 and a 3 over it.
Yeah.
Part 2, part 3. Okay, so going back into I have one more RPG and then I got 2 kind of probably not, one's kind of unique and the other one's super unique. I know for sure you won't have it on your list. But I think PlayStation 2, you gotta have Final Fantasy X. I just don't think you can be without a PlayStation 2 without Final Fantasy X.
That's me doing the Titus.
It's not my favorite Final Fantasy game for sure, but even though I had a frustrating time at the end of that game, I still learned to really respect that game as I went through all of it. You know, so
yeah, that game was. My sister didn't finish it because we got stuck around. Was it Mountain Gagazet or something? Near the end of the game where Kimihara has to go alone. So I think the only if you're a young person, thinking about making a collection, and 10 is definitely one of the weirder RPGs. I think it's not. I don't think it's the most friendly, but I still think it's worth owning.
Yeah. I mean, for
hardest,
sure. Again, going back into the whole, there's the remastered versions, and those are way better. I think.
Yes.
Those are much more done, and I think there's just a lot of skippable cutscenes. God, can't talk anymore. Definitely a big thing to have for that. So,
it's worth getting for Waka.
I didn't even use Waka, I think, that much.
What are you talking? Are you in bed? Is that why, brother?
I just don't think I like the range on Waka. Like, I just never found it to be useful enough. I could be wrong on that. I might have. I think I mostly used Titus, Yuna, and Auron.
Yeah, I can see. I mean, different flows, different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a good rhyme for that. But yeah, I like Waka because he was. For one, he's Jake the dog. He's Bender.
Oh yeah.
And then 2, man, his fire is fierce against the All-Bed.
All right. So I got 2 more games here. these two I think are a little bit more out there, which I think will make this list fairly and much more so unique. But even though they came out with a remake just not too long ago, actually, Katamari Damacy is such a unique game that I feel like it belongs on the list. Like when I played it a few years ago, I had so much fun playing through that game. It's so unique. I kind of want to play it again, honestly, because I liked it so much. So
They have the thing on the Switch recently. I think we
yeah.
reroll. The one that's specifically not ported is that We Love Katamari. Is that the one? I forget.
Possibly. I don't know enough Katamari, honestly, to be able to answer that question.
Yeah, all the titles are so hard to.
Well, the other thing too is that like with Katamari, like they really did a terrible job of like keeping consistency between consoles. You know, there's Xbox specific, there's PlayStation specific, I even think there's Nintendo specific. So, like trying to keep up and with the flow of that is like very difficult in its own right. So, and then okay, and here we go. So this is my last one on my list.
All right, you're gonna beat the. What is it like? Beat the brick? How do you say it? Like bust me?
So, this is a really unique game. I've spent many hours playing this game. It's very difficult, but the environment is what really gets it for me. And the game in question is Smuggler's Run 2.
What'd you say?
Smuggler's Run 2.
Okay, yeah, I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, it's out there. It's definitely different. But the idea and premise of Smuggler's Run 2 is that you are a drug runner essentially, or a contraband runner.
Hey.
Yeah, it's the perfect game for Shady Speed. I think he's even a character in there too. Yeah,
This is an RPG.
A smuggler. There we go, Dolly. Way to go. Way to use your noodle. It's not an RPG.
Oh, you said it was a way out there RPG. I think you said.
No. It's a driving game.
Okay.
So your goal is to drive stuff, contraband as it were, smuggle contraband from point A to basically point B, while trying to run away from the cops and trying to run away from enemy smugglers in it. It sounds like it should be a pretty basic game, but number one, it was made by Rockstar, so that kind of throws it a little bit up more. Number two, the music's pumping and is dance electro kind of music too, so there's that as well. But the thing that really gets me in that game is that the environments are enormously big for PlayStation 2. I mean, it's the kind of game where like you will drive over a mountain and you will have airtime of like 20 seconds because of how much you are falling and flying around as a car. So, I mean, there are jumps all over the place. There is environment to just drive around for hours in if you really wanted to. And it's got decent multiplayer too, I think. So, it's an interesting game. Give it a try if you haven't. It's very hard though. I will say that. Like, do not go into that game thinking that is going to be a nice easy peasy kind of game. Like, you are going to have a frustrating time sometimes. And it's going to be some of those missions are going to be like, well, I barely beat this, but you know what? Hey, that's good enough for me. And sometimes that's kind of the joy of it. So
that you should really just have a segment called "I'm gonna play the games I like." I think you'd really enjoy it because there's at one point you just randomly started playing like Command and Conquer, and then everyone's like, "What? I don't know."
Yeah,
I don't get it.
See, the unfortunate thing is that like the games I really like to play by myself, like nobody likes. So you know that's okay though.
Well, yeah. Then if you dedicate a day to it, then you don't have to care. It's just like, okay, oh no, you guys don't know Tulip. Oh,
that's a game.
No lip service for you.
Need to acquire at some point.
I have never played Sly. This is unfortunate truth.
That's the same thing. I would have put Sly on the list, but I've never played it myself. So
that's a game that we should both.
The thing is I respect it and I understand that it's a really good game. I just have never sat down and played it, so I don't know anything about it. You know.
Yeah, that's my stance on it.
So I know that it for sure could be on this list, but again, this is my personal choice. So if you have your own list, why don't you write about it?
Yeah. Send us an email. I'm actually really interested to see. Like, I don't know what the heck Tulip is. Lemon Green just posted about that earlier.
It's different.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, I know what Tulip is, but I've never played it. But I it's interesting to say the very least.
And Dolly's asking the music play. Some of these are my songs that I picked, and then some of them are Carl's.
Yeah. So how
now
are,
Persona Q.
So what we do is on every Sunday that we do a podcast, we just pull up a watch together and we just start adding songs as the day kind of progresses, and then we use whatever playlist we have to kind of finish that off.
So you're gonna hear a lot of things that like I don't think wouldn't ever be heard on this channel otherwise.
Yeah. So, we're already at 2.5 hours, so might as well get you going here on the PlayStation 2. So.
What do you mean? Let's still
hit me up with your list.
Okay. Metal Gear Solid 3. I already talked about that.
Yeah.
And Gran Turismo talked about that.
Yeah.
Silent Hill 2 or 3. Now this is the unique bust the brown because the HD collection unfortunately is not a good port. How that happened is so you know how the Metal Gear 1 is pretty good all things considered. The ports. Konami did not help with them for Silent Hill. They had this other team do it. They didn't have Daddy Kojima looking over their shoulder being like, is Raiden's butt as big as it should be? Stuff like that. So a lot of it fell flat. So that's why I think Silent Hill 2 or 3 has to be played on the PS2, unfortunately, in that you kind of do lose a little bit of the quality nowadays unless you have a little funky setup for your PS2 otherwise. But those two are staples in the horror genre for a reason.
Yeah.
Because they're good.
Yeah, it's with Silent Hill. The thing, obviously, I've never played Silent Hill before, but I really want to pull out Silent Hill 1 at some point and grab that and play it because everybody says it's good. It's definitely one of those games that I hope I would have the same experience as I did with Amnesia, where I kind of pushed through it in the beginning and then really learned to appreciate it because I really had a 180 change on Amnesia because I hated that game. Like, I played Amnesia the first time and I was like, this is dumb. I don't care for it. I don't want to play this. And it wasn't because I was scared or anything. It's just I just didn't enjoy it. So when I played it on stream that second time, I was like, this is decent. I'm actually getting into this and stuff. So again, I'm hoping that that's the same kind of thing that happens with Silent Hill 1.
Now, the big difference is that, I think Silent Hill is a lot more narrative-driven in that you actually interact with characters instead of just, letters and stuff. So there's that. Now, also keep in mind, I think there's actually a reason why the combat sucks. Because I would say the combat in a lot of Silent Hills do suck. And this is primarily because, I think this is a good explanation, none of the characters are combat-oriented. They're just regular dudes who just happen to come across Silent Hill. Well, not happen. There's a reason. We'll figure out soon once you play. But I think once you get over the hurdle of it is a little clunky, you're gonna get immersed. I think is my approach towards that series.
Yeah.
Next, I'll just go with my next horror games. Fatal Frame 3. I would put 2. I think 2 is the more well-known one of that series, but. Again, I wanted to avoid ones that were ports. Do you have it? Are you pulling it out? What's going on? What is
okay, I'm ready. Okay, we can continue talking.
There ain't no Cameo Obscura. But yeah, I think if you were to compare, I think that Fatal Frame plays better in that you gotta. I always like the aspect of. You gotta look at the horror. You gotta look at it. Look at it, you jerk. And then you gotta take a picture of it. I think it would be a fun time if you ever considered picking up. It is mixed with tank controls, though. I should mention.
Ooh.
Well, so Silent Hill. So
is Resident Evil, really.
Yeah, all the horror games.
There's tank controls. This is the way. This is the wave of the future and how to do everything. Tank controls.
Man. Why not? Okay, moving on. Well, I wrote I didn't write the price for the well-known ones. I think Fatal Frame 3 is a little less known, even though I think it's still a horror game staple. But it's $40 to $50. But compare that to GameCube, not that high. The next one, Ace Combat 5, is probably my favorite Ace Combat that I played so far. It's definitely the most I would consider it the most refined looking one too.
No, that's just basically a plain kind of. It's almost like Star Fox in a sense, isn't it?
Yeah, to a degree. It's a lot more control oriented in that you. Okay, here, use the controller, right? You also have to mess with the yaw and stuff. Unlike.
Oh God. Okay.
Yeah. So there's that. Like it's very intensive, but like once you get a feel for the controls, it is probably one of my favorite games to play. Even though I'm not really a plane nut or a vehicle nut in general. But yeah, that runs from 5 to 50, so that's also just an easier thing to find in general. Am I dying? Am I good?
No, you're good.
Okay. And there's a lapse on the video. What else? Bujinkai is a really strange one. If you TFP, if he was here, he'd be like, "Oh, he put it on his list."
But he's not.
Yeah. So it stars a very popular VA actor kind of dude named Gact, but he's not Gact. He's the character. But it's one of those like DMC likes, Devil May Cry likes, where it's like, hey, this isn't just a ripoff; it's its own thing, and it's like, whoa, it's pretty fun. I got it in a combo thing, but I think it's fun to play. I think it's worth to collect too, because it's one of those ones where you can claim, oh yeah, this is a really niche title that's actually really good.
Yeah.
That one runs 15 to 50, so that one's not as expensive still. Now I'm gonna hit these last two, and then I got my honorable mentions. Graffiti Kingdom.
Never heard of that.
Is a game where you can actually 3D model your character, and then you also get to adjust their movesets and stuff. I would have owned it if not for the fact that it runs from $70 to $260.
That's a lot.
Yeah, but it's pretty darn
That's why I
fun.
don't know it.
You could look up a lot of videos. Like I saw some people put R-wings in it and stuff. Like people can get really creative with it.
Yeah.
That's just how it is when you have a thing where you can make anything. And then lastly, okay, this one's another TFP one, but like you wouldn't be opposed for me saying it. I also just want to say the long title. Shin Megami Tensei Devil Summoner Raido Kuzunoha versus the Soulless Army. Let me say it again. Shin Megami Tensei Devil Summoner Raido Kuzunoha versus the Soulless Army. Awful. It's not the longest game title either. I told LG that, and he was like, "Whoa!" But this is an interesting thing in that it's another spin-off of Shin Megami Tensei that isn't Persona. I would also put Digital Devil Saga, but I feel like this one is the more weird one because it's not an RPG in that it's turn by turn. It's an RPG in that you kind of move around a space and then you do an attack and then you have a cooldown. Yeah. So it's kind of like a Parasite Eve, I think, would be a good descriptor for that.
I own it, but never played it.
I play it. That's Parasite Eve will be on my. Well, actually, no. You can play it on the PS3. Never mind. Well, it would have been on my PS1 thing to suggest. Now this is the most expensive game. This surprised me because when I bought it at AX, it was like $20. Looking online, it's $200 to $400.
Oh, that's a lot.
That is probably the highest price I've seen for a PS2 game recently, or in ours, in either of ours. I think that's the most expensive game. But yeah, that's my list. I think a lot of it is more preference than collection, but I think some of them are like, okay, this is kind of worth getting on the collection. Like mainly the first few, like Metal Gear. Some of the ones I would have put down, but are cross-platform. Killer 7, that's on the GameCube, the PS2, and Steam. Probably recommend Steam. It's one of those weird games. It's definitely a weird standout title. That I think is worth diversifying your collection for.
So, do you play as the killer? Do you run away from a killer? Like, is it a horror game?
So it is you wander around like an environment, and then this is the hardest game to explain. When you hear a laugh, you hear a laugh prompt. You enter first person mode. You're supposed to search for it, and then you shoot it. So it switches from I didn't say Dark Cloud 1 or 2 because it's also on PS4. But anyway, then what you do is you use blood points and you pick between 7 different disassociative assassin identities to play as. Man, I was surprised that you asked this game in particular how you play it. It's hard to explain how to play that game. But it's fun.
I believe you.
I like weird games, so that's I think Killer 7 is worth picking. But yeah, I would have put Dark Cloud 1 and 2 if not for the fact that Well, actually, Dark Cloud 1 is not on the PS4, I think. So I missed out then. Beautiful Joe, you'd also play it on GameCube as well as PS2. So I don't think it really matters which one you play it on. I think GameCube might be the preferred one, and it's also a good thing on the collection.
See, I remember playing Beautiful Joe, I think, for like a brief moment. I remember not caring for that game all that much because I think it was so slow on PlayStation 2.
Okay, so yeah, maybe the GameCube one is the better one. For me, Dark Cloud, what stopped me from, well, hold on. I like 2 more than 1 just because 1 has you play as the slingshot cat girl thing. I'm like, oh, this sucks. But, you know, it's still a fun game. There's a reason why there's a 2, because 1 was so unique. And then I also put Fatal Frame 2, but that's also Xbox, and then it got ported. So, oh man, this was an intensive. Looking back, Carl, this was an intensive list to make, and it's we're still missing a lot.
So, so I might as well do it now since we did it for the first list. Let's add it up here.
All right.
All right, so I'll do mine. I don't know if you want to do yours. I don't know if you have.
I'll whatever price you get, I'll just add on to Raido Kuzunoha.
Okay, so for a
200.
So for a PlayStation 2, I would say $50, give or take.
Yeah, so there's not too many peripherals that are necessary for the collection.
Yeah.
Games on there either.
And honestly, like the most controllers that you're gonna need is 2 and a memory card. So like all of that, I'd say you could probably get all of that for $50 if you really tried. So there's that. Final Fantasy 10 is $5. Gran Turismo 4 is $10, which is odd. $5 for Grand Theft Auto 3. Be generous and do $10 for Jak and Daxter. Do $15 for Metal Gear Solid 3. $10 for Ratchet and Clank. $10 for Tony Hawk. $10 for Kingdom Hearts. $20 for Katamari, and $5 for some other one, which totals out to $150.
Oh yeah, that's a lot cheaper.
Yeah, it's a really solid. I think that's a fair price for all of that. You get a console.
If you get Raido, you add on 200, and then
Yeah, so.
And also there's a sequel, which I think is even more expensive. Have you ever played Dark Cloud, by the way?
I own it. That's it.
Okay, it's like half the games we've discussed for my list.
Yeah. There's quite a few PlayStation 2 RPGs out there that I want to play. Like I want to play Dark Cloud and get through that. I want to play Okage. I have that as well. I played a little bit of that back, or Okage, sorry. And there's a couple others I think too that I can't just think of off the top of my head. If I went and looked at my PS2 collection, I'd be like, okay, yeah, that one. But for sure, those 2 are kind of on my list of like I need to sit down and play these because I know I played Dark Cloud when I did the garage sale games one day.
Yeah, that wasn't enough.
Yeah, but even so, the thing was that I actually enjoyed playing it. So I know for a fact that if I were to have continued on with that, I would have continued to enjoy it. So it's just that RPGs, of course, are the longest things on the face of the planet.
Yeah. I still think the funniest thing I've ever read is I wish there was a prompt in a game that asks, are you above 30 or a certain age? And then if you say yes, it cuts the game time in half. I would love to just beat games.
Yeah, really.
Bruh.
All right, man.
Why'd it gotta be so long?
You got anything else you want to add to the collectors?
No, but I'm excited to see what we haven't covered. If you have, because there's clearly unique. I think we're gonna see more unique ones for the PS2.
Yeah, for sure.
The GameCube, I think, has a smaller library, and a lot of the exclusives in particular are just Mario stuff.
Yeah, most people when doing a GameCube collector's list is kind of. It's a little. I mean, there's some more unique stuff out there, but I think most people have all the same stuff, and that's why. Like, it's more defined than I think the PlayStation 2 one is. There's a lot more.
Whereas in our PS2 one, there's definitely games that like I don't think either of us have heard in like connection. Like
yeah, I mean, I can go find a few games on my shelf and be like, "Have you heard of this or played this?" Like Hurdy-Gurdy.
Oh, please don't.
I have this like some monster, and I'm like, "What the heck is
no
that?"
Hurdy-Gurdy. That game's cover art sucks. Wow. This is one of the worst I've seen.
Snobby artist alert! Wee.
It's not as good as Eco for the PS2 Western release, which also sucks. Have you seen it? The Eco PS2.
I've never actually really seen Eco.
Ah.
Consider.
Dun, 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 dun.
All right, so let's go ahead and move into questions and emails here.
All right.
Move on. So, hope that list to anybody that's actually interested in acquiring more new stuff has helped you out to find stuff. But it's time to move on to questions. So I think we have. Why don't we start off with recaps from last week? So
Okay.
Any of those questions, we'll go ahead and do those first, and then we'll do new and unique questions later.
So last week we did discuss about stream teams, and some people have input some of their ideas. For example, Lime the Green in the comments below posted Marie and Kai from Splatoon would be a good stream team. I get that, except they would. I guess you'd have to be a squid too to understand what they're saying. Man, these drums are loud.
Yeah, they are. That's what happens. That's what happens.
This is Lost Vikings? Oh, it is.
Yeah, in Sega Genesis lands, you get loud.
Sega Genesis
drums.
do what Sega Genesis do.
Pretty much. Genesis does.
What does.
Nintendo
don't.
Okay, so
okay.
Hit me up here.
The next one is from Woot. Zorks gave us a fair amount. He wrote some descriptors as to why they would be good. So this is specifically duos that he wrote out.
Okay.
So Shaggy and Scooby, we kind of went over that. He said Scooby would be always around for streams, and that Shaggy would do. And then he's saying that having a dog on the stream would be a really good
he's not
pull
wrong.
for people.
He's not wrong at all.
And he's saying they would. Oh, this is actually a better idea than what I had. They play a lot of cooking sim games.
Yeah. Okay. That I could see that. That's fair.
And then Banjo and Kazooie. This is something you covered.
Yeah, I said Kazooie more specifically.
Yeah.
Banjo and Kazooie for sure.
Kazooie would give the chat grief, and Banjo would be more friendly.
Yeah.
No streams about car customizing games ever, he says. And he's saying, well, I think he's tying into the characters more, which I think is a good approach. Like, he's saying they would mainly be playing collectathons.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Strong Bad Homestar. I'm surprised neither of us thought of this, actually.
That's true.
That's really solid.
Honestly, you could probably put more than just the two of those for a stream team.
The cheat, and then Pom Pom.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, I mean...
and then the Poopsmith.
Oh, yeah, the Poopsmith, for sure. He'd be the long play king.
The long play.
And then the king of town would be, he would be like on par with like binging with Babish or something.
No! He's the opposite. Oh, nasty. I wonder if I could eat this tub of pinks. No, he'd be the worst mukbang streamer ever. All the salt. Goofy and Donald, he's saying they would be the same as Strong Bad and Homestar. Because Donald gets angry real quick, like Strong Bad would, and then Goofy would be like,
okay.
What's going on here?
All right, so here's the thing with Goofy and Donald is that I would need subtitles. That's the only way I'd watch that stream. I'd need subtitles.
And then YouTube's getting rid of subtitles apparently, which is really bad. Yeah. I might have not have read it correctly, but yeah, they're getting rid of closed captioning, which I think is really stupid.
I wonder if they're getting rid of the autofiller one.
No, it seems like it's all of them. It seems like the one that you could put in, the one that you can have people put in, and then the auto. I think they're getting rid of all of them.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, and Dolly's adding Ratchet and Clank. That's a good one. Sonic and Tails, they're bros. Focus on games about speed. So games about me. Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong. Oh, and Cranky would show up in the background and make fun of them.
Yeah, okay. That's fair. No, Troy and Carl would be a terrible group.
That's why we haven't seen them so lately.
Yeah, it's true. Nobody actually wants to see us.
Gameathon coming soon.
And Troy's just been like, I want to stream, and I'm like, no, Troy. Nobody wants to see us together. And Troy's like, oh, okay.
And that's why he haunts you all the time in the apparitions. Community captions? Well, that's still bad, honestly. There's a lot of untranslated content out there. And you also have to just consider not language barriers either.
Yeah.
So, Mario and Waluigi would stream games with a big focus on games where collecting money is a goal. So yeah, they would play tycoon games. You didn't include Waluigi on your thing.
I did not because I feel that he's a solo.
He's a solo. Except when he's with Mario, which is all the time.
But like I said, I'm not that big of a fan of Wario myself. You know, I don't know.
Then take it off your list. Your GameCube list.
No, I'm just not a big fan of the guy himself. Like, his games are good. It's just, you know, I don't feel Wario. All that
He's watching this right now. Oh my god.
Sorry, Wario.
And then lastly, Kea, and then the bread from I Am Bread. I Am Bread speedrunners, he says.
That gives me a good video idea.
Oh, making Kea play I Am Bread, and then you have closed captioning for like her barks, even though she doesn't bark. It's like, I like the bread. Sorry I had to be a little brief about some of your explanations, Zorks, but yeah, those are pretty solid. I like them.
Yeah, I like listening to this too. So.
And then lastly, we have an email from Will.
Okay.
Interesting. And it's only a title. There's no content at all. See, let me prove it too. Let's see.
Oh, will there ever be a Splatoon 3?
That's it.
Isn't Splat 3 project like already a thing?
I don't know. I feel like I would pick up Splatoon 3 regardless if it did get into production, because I have not played a Splatoon game, even though it seems like something I gel with.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely for sure grab Splatoon 2 over Splatoon 1 these days, because even though Splatoon 1's online I think still exists.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody plays it anymore.
I'm curious. It would be fun. It would be a fun thing to play games where you think it's dead, but then there's still people playing. I think that'd be a fun segment, but maybe not for you.
I think if we all got together and all pulled out our Wii U's to play it, then yeah, sure, that'd be a time to have.
But yeah, I am interested in a 3, all things considered, though. Like, I'm typically not one who's like, oh, well, you know, it's on the same console. Why not just make another one? You know? I think oftentimes I much prefer just extending the lifespan of an already existing game. Like, for example, Destiny, they were pushed to make Destiny 2 by Activision, I think.
Yeah.
Even though they were just about to, like, make it spicy, you know, make it actually good. More so than it would have been, or whatever. Yeah. Octo expansion is the real Splat 2. But I think I would be interested in seeing a Splatoon 3, if anything. It just, I don't know how they'd go about that, and I'm not really
I'm sure there's
aware of the lore either. So.
I'm sure there's plenty of ways they can really define the story. I think would probably be the most difficult thing for them to do.
Yeah.
But the thing with Splatoon 1 and 2 is that there's still so much more. There's game modes that they could add on. There's new weapons that they could probably come up with. You know.
I'm curious about like who the 2 MCs they would like make now. What would their approach be? Because we have typical idols, and then we have like a hip hop group kind of deal.
Yeah.
So I don't know. A guy with a guitar and another one with a harmonica. Bob Dylan.
Yeah, Bob Dylan. Hey, I'm gonna play some Splatoon now.
Hey man, what's going on here?
All
right. I'm sorry. Okay, now that I'm on your channel, I'm sorry, Bob Dylan.
Oh, that's okay. All right. So, we'll go ahead and take one more question to.
Oh, 2 guys would be cool. Two guys would be a really interesting approach.
So we'll take one more question from the chat if anybody would like to ask a question for us. Otherwise, we will go ahead and probably start closing up here.
So I'm stretching.
We didn't do that at all today. Nobody told us to get up and stretch. How sad.
It's too late now, Dolly.
Yeah,
Don't even try.
Yeah, it's too late. Don't even.
Because we're just going to stretch after the stream.
Yeah, pretty much.
Tough. Unredeemed. Refund. Anyway.
So,
any question?
Any question that anybody would like to ask? It's the first come, first serve. So get to it.
Here's me getting up and stretching. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh man.
Oh man. Oh man.
What's happening on Friday? Oh yeah, I guess we could. Well, all right.
That was gonna happen regardless of a question.
Yeah. It
Chicken
was
or
gonna
egg, which came first? Kevin.
happen. But I think some scientists told me that it was the chicken. That's all I know. I can't answer that. I don't have any other defining proof other than a few scientists told me one day. So
A few science, Carl collaborates with a lot of scientists. That's why he's such a
It's true.
front edge cutter of the science field.
it's true. It's not wrong. So, okay. So let's. I guess that's your question. You've asked it. Okay. Let's end it off here. So once again, Speed has decided that he does not like us and does not want to post a schedule for the podcast.
I don't want to do it on Sundays.
Because he's weird like that. And he's
Quit ousting me for this.
So I'm gonna go ahead.
You
and post
stole
my
from me.
I'm gonna go ahead and post my schedule here because
suck.
that's I'm a cool person like that. So for this week, we're
Happy
gonna...
Wheels. Oh,
Wow, way to just spoil straight ahead to it. God,
it's on the screen.
I know, but I'm getting to it. So for this week, on the YouTube side of it all, it's going to be we're gonna finish Super Paper Mario.
I'm not.
By the end of the week, so there won't be any Zelda to be watched because I think it was nicely fit perfectly, just a video a day all the way through. So there's that. Monday, Tuesday, back to Metal Gear, Pokemon White, Stadium, that kind of stuff. Wednesday, we're gonna be playing Donkey Kong Country 3 unless I have internet issues, which seemingly I don't have right at the moment, so we're good with that.
Wait, what?
Thursday, 50-50. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna stream on that day, but 50-50 if I decided to just take it off. And then Friday. I was talking to Brian about this earlier. I'm super excited to do this. Me and Brian are going to play Happy Wheels versus, which means that we are going to load up levels, and it's going to be the first person to get to the end. So it's kind of like Super Mario Maker, but with Happy Wheels. And then on Saturday, nothing, and Sunday, we're going to continue on with Rock Manager, and this podcast will then be uploaded by that point. So okay, there's that. That's my schedule. I hope you guys are all excited. I'm actually really excited. Me and Brian are both excited for Happy Wheels. We're ready for this. It's gonna be a blast.
You stealing? You steal my schedule and then you steal Donkey Kong Country 3?
Yeah, I did. We played
What's
Donkey
up?
Kong before you guys, so shut up.
No, yeah. How dare you?
How dare you? Is the better question.
How dare I? Dare you to dare me, and dare on Evan's corpse.
Oh, you're so daring.
I dare you to beat Brian on Friday. I dare you to get 105% on Donkey Kong Country 3 by doing the hard mode. I dare you.
You know, Katie would probably be okay with doing that too. So.
I don't know. I don't know what she's okay with because half the time she's like, "No, I don't want to do that."
Well, I'm pretty sure she would be like, I'd be okay with that. So we'll see about that. Okay. So do you have anything you want to talk about your schedule as far as?
Honestly, the reason why I don't have one either is like I'm at the point where I'm like I don't know what to stream anymore. I'm kind of lost in that regard too. That's why I might throw on a Speedy spinner thing on one day. And then Rune Factory still, and then on Friday.
Here's my thought for you. Maybe you should try it. Why don't you try beating some short games?
But I'm almost done with Rune Factory.
I know you're almost done with Rune Factory, but like you finished the
I beat
VR
past
game,
part
right?
2.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
okay, so you have a new slot now for technically available if you want it to be.
But then the short game, I don't know.
Yeah. So I mean, like I don't know, like load up Luigi's Mansion or something, or just
Spelunky.
Sure.
No.
If you want.
But yeah, I still don't know about that because it's like, well, am I in the mood for a short thing? Because a lot of the things I'm actually in the mood for are long ones.
Yeah. So,
that's why I'm probably just gonna throw a Speedy spinner, and then as I was saying, for Friday it's more Pokemon, and I have a brief announcement. I am decided on the day for that Harvest Moon event. I'm going to do it the 15th of this month.
Ooh.
So I'm gonna spend tomorrow probably making the video.
That's a Saturday.
Yeah, and then Sunday I could say no, I don't want to stream. I'm tired.
Okay.
Well, that's a podcast, so I don't know. But yeah, I'm excited. Hopefully, it's something people are interested in. I've been kind of doubting myself on that, but I think the more I doubt, the more it's never gonna just happen. So be prepared for the 15th. It's gonna be 12 p.m. Pacific, and then all the way to 12 a.m. Pacific. So that's a whole Pacific amount of playing.
Are you being Pacific with that?
No, I'm being standard time.
All right, man. Okay, well,
All right.
I think that's gonna do it for this podcast. So thank you all for watching today's podcast. I hope you enjoyed
See my
it.
cool posters.
Yes, we see your cool posters. So next week, we'll see you next week on this channel. As we continue Rock Band.
Rock Band.
Or Rock Manager. As there will not be Golander Brothers, more than likely.
There could be.
There could, if we get all the way to the end of the game, which is possible. There will be Golander Brothers, but until then, there's not.
I would definitely suggest if you miss out on the rock, that's probably one of my favorite streams that we. Well, I keep saying that for everything, don't I? But yeah, there's that. I think it's worth giving a watch. It's like so different from what the channel typically has. So
yeah.
Oh, and then in the future, I do think we should go back to Coin Game because I did get the survival.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, down the road for sure.
Yeah, I gotta write down the things because there's a bunch of things that we have access to. Like we haven't done City Skylines multiplayer yet, or considered it Stardew Valley. I bought it and I attached that.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm gonna make dinner.
Yeah, I'm pretty hungry too myself. So, all right. Well, thank you all for joining us. I hope you enjoyed tonight's stream. We will see you guys. I will see you guys tomorrow. We'll see him next week, and
Or we'll see fireworks maybe later tonight. I don't know. It depends if Carl's gonna do that.
no, it's late. If we would have stopped at 7, then I would have started that up. But no.
Oh, I didn't think you would do it on stream. I thought you were just gonna.
Nah. Yeah, I was
Play.
gonna. That was what I was planning on. But no, not tonight. So.
Oh, why do you hate me?
Because I do. Anyways, I'm gonna send you over to Automatic Manic. He's playing Half-Life Alyx right now. So.
Automatic.
So.
Oh man, I'm fucking so hyped to see that, but I don't.
I know.
I've always wanted to play it for myself.
I know, right? But
Dang.
But we'll show him some love. So, anyways, thanks and get this started and goodbye.
Welcome to the segment, Mr. Freeman.